So you've decided to listen to the Reality Czars podcast. How brave of you. Nate and Paranoid American may think that they're merely discussing cryptozoology, interdimensional realities, and crude humor. But know this, listening to this podcast puts you on a certain list, the Clinton body count, if you will. The truths they reveal are not for the faint of heart, nor the blissfully ignorant. Listen if you dare, but remember, some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. And now, your hosts, those audacious explorers of forbidden knowledge, the Reality Czars, Nate and Paranoid American.
Woo! And we're live. Welcome, everybody. This is the Reality Czars podcast, and we are hosts tonight, Nathan and Thomas, the Paranoid motherfucking American.
What's up, guys?
Hey, I thought you were going to match my energy. Everyone, we have John Brisson on. I'm super stoked. Buddy, I've listened to you on a ton of podcasts, and I'm always impressed. You're fucking interesting. You're funny. Like, I'm excited to have this conversation, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, I am too as well. I'm glad to join the both of y'all here, and thank you for the kind words. And when's the earliest you heard me? I'm just curious, because I have changed. Have you noticed my views and the way I look at the world has morphed over time? So I'm just curious, like, how far back my first instances of Grimerica, the higher side chats, like, how far are we going back here?
I think the first time I heard you was probably like 8 months ago.
Okay.
So
okay.
I've heard, yeah. So I think that I think the first time I listened to you, I was trying to fucking remember actually the first place I listened to you because I wanted to re-listen to it back. But like I think the first time I heard you speaking, you were basically talking about the right wing and I think like right wing conspiracy culture and even like right wing libertarians, how they were infiltrated. And it was a really fucking fascinating thing, dude. Cause like, I mean, that's sort of kind of what I consider myself, like a right wing libertarian conspiracy theorist kind of nut job. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those guys are like my heroes, and you're like, Council on Foreign Relations or whatever the right wing version of that is. And
Council for National Policy.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh fuck, dude!" And you're kind of like you're shitting in my Kool-Aid, but it was fascinating, like in a good way, because like I don't keep sacred cows. You can say whatever the fuck you want. I mean, I've had people talk about like Jesus being a Sasquatch. I mean, I'm a Christian, and I've had people say that Jesus was a Sasquatch. I've had people say that Jesus was a pedophile. You know, I've had bizarre people on here telling me. Well, not bizarre people. Well, yeah, some of them were bizarre, but like bizarre conversation. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. And I'm willing to have those bizarre conversations. So I don't get my feelings hurt. Because maybe that's the autism. I don't know what it is. I can watch things from afar and it doesn't hurt. Is that make me a sociopath? I don't know.
You also can't hear loud noises. You freak out when you hear loud noises too, right? And if someone touches your face, there's like a bunch of different signs that you show.
If somebody touches my ear, do you have my baseball? Is this?
I guess we could call this the Beard Bros podcast, huh? Because we're all got killer beards going on.
Who's got a ruler, gentlemen?
We're measuring.
Are we going to do this?
We're doing a beard contest.
Are we going to? No, we don't have to. I don't want to.
Size doesn't matter, guys.
I had one time that made me look like I was homeless. It was so big, where it was like, dude, you get to a point where it doesn't grow down, but it starts growing like super bushy. Like that's just how my beard is, where it kind of gets curly, and the more bushier it gets, the greater, like the more it comes out the sides and stuff like that and everything. Eventually, I was like, yeah, this is a little too much.
I was hoping Red Dead Redemption would turn that around for us. Like, it would start being cool, because, like, every cowboy started looking like that in Red Dead, and it was like, I finally felt seen and heard for the first time in my life.
That is true, yes. That is very true, yes. And then, I guess, Grand Theft Auto 6, I'm thinking about playing it. I haven't made my mind up yet. Vice City, Tommy Vercetti was my favorite one of all time, and now I'm like...
They also had the motorcycle tricks, which got taken away right after Vice City. Like, at least
yes.
The extent of them. They gave it back as a regular... Anyways, let's just talk about GTA for the rest of this episode.
Is Tommy Vercetti going to come back? I mean, is he going to make an appearance? Is it going to be really bad? And, crush whatever teenage eyes of remember playing Vice City.
Yes, but he's also gonna be a disabled Filipino middle schooler.
Yeah, something to that effect. He's gonna be woke. He's gonna be woke now, or I don't know, but
that would make it more fun. I honestly would love to be like have a woke GTA, and now you're just like mowing down
like
horrible racist
genderqueer.
I mean, I would play the hell out of it, dude. I don't know if you guys ever played Postal back in the day, or especially Postal 2.
I did Postal 2, yeah.
And Gary Coleman was in there, and you could just like at any point whip out your dick and just pee on whoever was talking to you, and they would start vomiting. And then if someone else saw them doing that, they would vomit. And then all of a sudden, like what was going to be like a run and gun mission just turns into everyone vomiting on each other and dying and choking. And it was an amazing game. Could you use that
to your advantage? Like if you were like, let's say you were like on a heist mission, could you make like the whole room full of like guards start puking and then you steal shit?
Kinda, but it wasn't like that. And you could actually do a pacifist route too as well, which is the hardest way to play Postal 2, actually.
A man of culture, I see.
Yeah, but now I don't know. I've got to get convicted about playing certain games now, and I don't think I could go back to really playing Postal 2.
Really? What would be the conflict?
I don't know. The Holy Spirit kind of, makes me be like, yeah, should I really watch this? Should I really play this? It's like sometimes, yeah.
I had to stop fart porn because, like, I'm just kidding. I don't.
What about cum snorting? Is cum snorting on the table?
all porn's off the table. I've given.
Is that porn though? What if you don't have any sexual satisfaction whatsoever and you're just incredibly fat? The way that people watch like eye surgery videos. What if cum snorting was your version of eye surgery?
The way I watch like blackhead popping videos. I come when I'm watching those. Like
that's degenerate. That's degenerate. Too much. The popping of the pimples is too disgusting. Okay.
It's fair. You're allowed to have lines. Like that's what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, the eye surgery videos is also degenerate. If that's your thing, where you're like watching.
Really? That's degenerate?
I mean, think about it. If you're watching like mutilation videos, right, and you're getting like it, you might not get any sexual pleasure of it, but you're getting some sort of dopamine response when you're watching this mutilation occur.
I'm
right?
getting like a dopamine response when I'm eating a steak. But
that
I mean, like,
true.
I guess if you take it too far, then it's gluttony, or
well, I mean, obviously,
it's got anti-pleasure. I'm trying to figure it out. It's like
we all have sins that we deal with.
Watch a pimple popping video, but if you like it too much, you better turn that off.
There's lines to it, It's like I myself deal with gluttony. We all deal with sins that we individually struggle with, right? Yeah. But then there's some things where you're like. Like I'm talking about playing Grand Theft Auto 6, right? And I'm like, I mean, to me, it's not going to be 5 and it's not going to be 4. They're already ripping off Thelma and Louise. All right. I mean, Thelma and Louise, Bonnie and Clyde. It looks like a kind of a woke version of both of those being in, combination with each other. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just maybe I'm looking through the CMP Gamergate glasses, that Bannon was up there commanding all that, right? And the wokeness in video games and stuff like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't be. But to me, it looks like it's going to be. It looks like, I don't know. Like, I will say this. Before the trailer and everything I was hearing about it being woke, I wasn't going to play it. Now, since I saw the trailer, I was like, well, maybe, So, I mean, I don't know. Where do y'all stand? Are you going to play it or not?
I can't not play it. I honestly only slightly jokingly say that I feel like I was born at this time and put on this earth to play GTA 6 and every other GTA iteration. Like, there's no other... I can't find an explanation of why something like that would exist and why I would exist at the same time and why I would be so incredibly drawn to it. I played the very first GTA. I remember installing the OG top-down GTA on like all the school computers, public school in like the late 90s, and playing the hell out of that thing.
So
like
you're slightly older than me. Slightly. I didn't start playing until GTA 3.
Okay, yeah, no, it's I graduated in 2000, so
I graduated in 04.
In the very early or in the very late 90s, yeah, we were playing GTA in like the computer labs and in the library and stuff before anyone even knew what the hell this was. And honestly, even when the GTA 3D that came out for the PlayStation 1, I didn't even know that that was the same game. It didn't, I mean, it was clearly not the same game, but like I feel like I was born to play GTA from the day I was placed on this planet. So if that answers your question.
The first one, the second one, okay. The third one, pretty good. Vice City is my favorite. San Andreas was good. The fourth one was good. And the fifth one was, I mean, the fourth one and the fifth one were pretty good. I'd probably give them 8 or 9 roughly. But you know, everybody has their favorite
too.
It was my favorite. Just the 80s and just Tommy Vercetti and the Scarface ripoff. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, in my opinion. So,
dude, I grew up with Jaws on the NES, so at this point, like anything slightly better than that is an amazing game. So GTA is just light years beyond that. Yeah, computer labs, those existed, and keyboard class, so they taught you how to type on a keyboard, and yeah.
Yep.
Dude, when I was really little, like, because not everybody had fucking video games when they were a kid, right? Like, there was a spot. It was called Wally Works, and it was a spot where they had like probably like 50 computers and like 20 PlayStations and 20 Xboxes, or you know, whatever the gaming systems was. And so you could go and just pay by the hour, and you just play unlimited video games.
Yeah, cyber cafes, kind of.
Yeah. It was basically like an internet cafe, but for video games. And like, that was the first place that I played like Duke Nukem, and I like saw boobs. Like, you know, like when you're going to
another amazing game.
Dude, it was amazing.
I preferred Duke Nukem over Doom, to be honest with you. And the humor was better in my opinion. I did like Wolfenstein though. I think it was probably my favorite
Wolfenstein
in the genre of games.
That was good stuff.
The new Wolfenstein, the newest one, a 3D one, was not that great. But the original.
Have you played Redneck Rampage?
No, actually, no, I can't.
Oh, my friend.
I don't think I played it. No, I don't think I have. No.
So imagine the Duke Nukem engine, but it's all rednecks, and you drink moonshine, and you get drunk, and you take peyote in the middle of the desert, and you trip out, and you also have a gun with you at all times. It's amazing.
Yeah, what are you shooting? It seems normal.
What are you
Thomas,
shooting?
Who are you shooting? Yeah.
Other rednecks.
And
aliens. And I'm not kidding. Yeah, that was the plot was the aliens.
So is it like Deliverance with the other rednecks? Is it like
there's a lot of Deliverance jokes. Oh yeah, it was very self-aware.
Had to have been.
So you guys are almost my age. I mean, I think I'm slightly younger than both of you. Maybe. Did any of you guys play the Chex Mix game?
Yes, I loved it. Chex Quest.
Dude, that was such a fucking fun game.
It was a Doom ripoff, but it was great. I loved it. It was free too. It was an excellent game.
Dude, I want to play that again. I think you could probably find like an emulator, right? You can probably find it for free.
Yeah, there's people that still play it to this day. Mm-hmm.
Dude.
There's probably like speed runs, and some Korean kid probably made like 20 grand this year making a speed run of the Chex Mix game, and you're laughing, but I bet you that's true.
No, I'm laughing because you're probably right too. It's how absurd everything is.
I would love to use a time machine for the only reason to go back and just like show my parents that kids are making more than their collective income over their lifetimes in 1 year of playing Doom, and be like, you know, you'll never get a job for playing this, and just be like, oh, how wrong you were. How wrong you were, guys.
You could have been an early adopter for YouTube. You could have been a vlog boy.
Dude, I don't. We could remind me one time when I tell you how I almost won the Blockbuster Championship of Florida. But go ahead.
Solus. Do you guys remember this game? My favorite early Nintendo game was Solus.
Solstice. No. That was the top-down, the isometric with the little wizard, and you'd had to get like that was like an impossible game. I think I'm thinking of the right one.
No, I mean I had NES. It was one of my first systems. But no, I don't remember it. No. I did play a lot of RPG games growing up, though. My favorites were like Earthbound.
I was totally
Final Fantasy Tactics. Mm-hmm.
This is the one, the isometric, with like little potions and crap.
Okay, I played a lot of those games.
So, can you guys explain why Super Mario Brothers 3 was the best game to ever come out until that time?
Because it just was the best game that ever came out, dude.
Oh, yeah. All right. Good enough.
All right, Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario World?
3. Well,
Dude,
maybe I'm dating myself.
I could make an argument for Donkey Kong Country. I could also make an argument for Banjo and Kazooie, the original.
Oh, Banjo Kazooie, yeah, the original, excellent game.
Alex
it's actually pretty hard.
Alex the Kid was for Sega, I believe, and I actually, our family had a Sega Master System because it was way cheaper than the NES at some point because they were just like not doing a great job.
No.
But man, it was a superior system. I swear it was. It didn't have better games, but the graphics were unbelievably better than the NES. They were like more saturated.
Sega was always like a step above with the graphics. I remember I got a Sega Saturn, like when everyone else had a PlayStation, because like, dude, the graphics were better. The games were
baller,
fucking awesome.
Bro. The Saturn was not the cheapest console when it came out either.
The Dreamcast is still my favorite console,
free, dude.
The Dreamcast is still my favorite console of all time.
What was that?
The Dreamcast is still my favorite console of all time. It still is.
Dreamcast is pretty sweet, dude.
What were the big games for Dreamcast?
Well, the best thing about Dreamcast is it had no piracy protection, so you could burn games. So I was downloading games on my 56K modem in high school and playing them on my Dreamcast for nothing. And you had to mod it. There's no mod chips or nothing.
That's
all right.
Awesome.
So I was playing Power Stone 2 and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, like all the fighting games, and Sonic Adventure 2, and like Resident Evil. Like I was playing everything.
That would have been a game changer.
It took forever to download it though. It took me a week to download Rival Schools, but it was worth it in the end. So
that's I feel like our generation's version of like I walked to school in 2 miles and 2 feet of snow, but it's like I legitimately remember downloading like Wu-Tang Forever and starting it at 6 p.m. and waking up at 6 a.m. and being like, oh, it's almost done. You know what I mean? Like it ran all the way, and it was just like some crappy MP3.
Weird porn from LimeWire as a kid and stuff, and like waiting for it. Like, yeah, it would take like 2 days, but I'd be like, oh, and then sometimes it'd be like they'd lie to you and it's actually gay. You like started, you're like, when's the girl coming? And then they
do you remember C++ and having to use direct downloading like LimeWire and Kazaa and stuff that and everything, and then you had the people getting sued by the music industries for downloading
Hulk,
music,
bro.
right?
It was the Hulk came out and it got like half of my friends, and that was the one that scared the Jesus out of me, and I went towards an even better solution.
Yeah, I mean,
what year was that? We just had a comment talking about buying cigarettes when you were 18. When did it turn to 21, and what kind of bullshit is that? I remember I could buy cigarettes at 18. Yeah, you can't buy cigarettes until you're 21.
In what state?
You know that? Is that just a Florida thing? Sorry, Thomas, what were you saying?
I think North Carolina you could do 18. I'm sure of it.
Maybe it's just a fucking Oregon thing. They say 94, 95. Interesting.
Oh yeah, it's 21 in Florida now too.
Yeah.
2021 it changed in Florida.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it's 21, and I mean I haven't smoked and I haven't dipped tobacco more than 10 years, but yeah.
This is the hill that I'm gonna die on. Do you guys want to march on City Hall over this? Any chance?
Bring down the cigarette. I mean, if you could,
let our 18-year-olds smoke again.
It says California is 21. Yep. Yeah, dude. I don't know when the fuck that started, but that's bullshit. You should be able to have longer. If I'm allowed to go and shoot people, you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want at 18.
You guys feel the same about heroin?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Absolutely.
No.
I mean, I don't think you should do heroin. My father was a heroin addict, and that's pretty much what killed him. I don't advocate for heroin.
So was my father too.
Yeah.
What about opium? What if it's just straight up opium?
No. I'm not libertarian when it comes to drug laws. Though I think the war on drugs has been a massive failure, but I think it's been done by design though. I'm not for the mass legalization either. I don't think there is any governmental solution. I don't think there's any solution, period.
Well,
You know,
I think that's my solution for everything almost, is that the government just shouldn't be involved. It's the same thing where, like, I'm personally pro-life as fuck, but it's still a weird thing to, like, okay, like, because when you do make a law against it, let's say after a certain trimester, like, and like a woman has like a miscarriage, like you do have to start treating it almost like a suspected homicide. You know what I mean? And I don't know. There's these arguments where like the government would get involved and like,
dude, I would love a new like film noir genre, but it's just all about like investigating like who killed this aborted baby. Sorry, I really do think that there's a niche for that.
It would be a new form of Law and Order.
This person's blowing my mind. Says you can make morphine from giant dandelions. Is that true?
That sounds suspect, because doesn't morphine come directly from opium?
Poppies.
I don't think dandelions. I don't think dandelions are
poppies. Poppies and dandelions aren't the same thing. You know, at least I don't think they fall in the same.
No, they're definitely not the same plant. For sure.
I don't think that's real. I don't think that's real.
This
I think someone is selling this dude dandelions and like, no, trust me, bro. If you smoke enough, you'll feel it.
This is like when they told me that if I smoked banana peels, I would get really high, and I tried it. Remember
nutmeg? Remember nutmeg?
I did that, by the way, and it does work.
Nutmeg will mess you up, though. It will mess you up, though.
It honestly, from personal experience, I felt like I was drunk for 3 days. That's what nutmeg did to me.
They want to clarify. Just the giant ones, not the tiny ones. I guess it's
that really makes all the difference. Those magically have opiates in them.
And maybe, dude, I don't know.
Unless we're talking about dandelions with like the big wink at the end. Dandelions.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. Texicum officiale, huh? But that's a common dandelion. Like the last
time, they use the Latin
the
Latin version of it. So I don't know. Maybe there's.
In Latin. I don't know.
I mean, Wikipedia doesn't say that you can make morphine out of it, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
I don't know, but maybe the Anarchist Cookbook. I mean, that's part of they don't want you to know you can get morphine from dandelions, and that's why like Big Monsanto is like trying to wipe out all the fucking with what's that terrible
Roundup,
stuff?
bro. It's Roundup. They're trying to kill it.
Roundup. They're trying to keep you from like that sweet heroin in your front
lawn. I guess apparently there's a plant that makes dandelion like flowers, but contains an opium-like substance called prickly wild lettuce.
Oh, yeah. Isn't this is like a DM? I thought that was a DMT analog, though.
From what I see, it makes kind of like some sort of like lactarium, right? So it's like a pain reliever. And I don't know
how to make concentrated wild lettuce extract for pain. I mean, at that point, though, why don't you just grow an opium? Why are you going through all the trouble with the dandelion lettuce?
But if it's like just growing...
Because the lactarium is legal, the opium is not legal.
Is it, though? Because, like, if I have, like, mushrooms just growing in my yard, if I pick them, then I get in trouble.
That is true.
Is that really true?
Yeah, dude. No, 100%. No,
it's the same with opium. County, it's the same with opium poppies.
Yeah, you can technically, I think, grow them, but if you try to
grow them, you can't cultivate them because the law is against the cultivation, not necessarily the growing. So, potato, tomato.
In Humboldt, where I'm from, all the shrooms, they don't grow out of cow patties. They grow in the dunes. So they grow in like on the beach, basically on the dunes, like near the coast. And so like after the first rain, you have cops waiting for them. They just camp out there because they know that all the hippies and the young kids are going to go out there and fill up trash bags full of mushrooms.
Well, I'm glad they're getting rid of that scourge in our society of
Mm-hmm.
hippies picking mushrooms on the coastline.
Well, I'm like Red Foreman, like after that '70s show, right? I blame the hippies for everything. So, so.
I met a dirtbag punk the other day. He was this old man, a self-described punk, and he was wearing a leather jacket and had all of his patches and a big one with Charles Manson on it, and it just said "fuck hippies." And I think it had anyways, he's an interesting guy. He explained to me that hippies, or I guess punks, hate hippies, and they're like mortal enemies. I had no idea.
I
went
didn't
to
know
a
that
punk
either.
show.
Really,
I've heard that.
Yeah, I went. Yeah, I didn't know. It's new to me. I went to a punk show because I had a buddy that was playing in a band, and it was fun. I mean, the problem is that like the whole punk scene, especially in Portland, because that's where I'm at right now, they're all like vaccinated queer vegans.
seems
You know,
about right.
so they're like the epitome, like they're the opposite of punk. They're just
So
a bunch
Portlandia
of, like,
became real life. Is the show Portlandia became real life? Is that what you're telling
the
me?
bar was a vegan bar. We were at a vegan bar. Everybody was like corpse white. Everyone had like long, greasy fucking hair. They were all kind of like crust punks. Do you know what those are? Like the
Not
dirty,
offhand, no.
smelliest kind of punks. Those are like Thomas. Google that crest punk. I don't know how to spell that, but if you kind of type it in, you'll see exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Just like the movie, the movie book, The Outsiders. That's what this person said. Yes, they.
Oh,
kinda
okay,
look like
okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Thomas is pulling it up here.
This isn't the outside. It wasn't the Outsiders, like 1950s rockabilly.
Yeah,
gang?
but that's semi the aesthetic. The leather, yeah. These are crust punks, and but like these are like cleaned up versions. What you're getting on Google. Think of like a Portland vegan that hasn't like eaten anything besides like I don't know, like microwave like bean and rice burritos, and is very vaccinated and very gay. And doesn't
really
wear
wanted to
deodorant.
connect it to crust punk. Maybe it's crust punk,
It might be
Which-
crust punk.
which makes a little bit more.
Yeah,
This is
those
this sounds like what
that
you're
look
talking
like
about.
the freaks that yep. There was a lot of those.
Is that an Aquafina? That's awesome. Or no, it's like a Denon.
Dude, they're aggressively ugly too. They're like I mean like that's Portland's aesthetic though. They're like they could be normal looking people, but they're trying their hardest to be ugly.
Are these Portland 10s?
Dude, I'm not kidding. Yes.
Woof.
You got young Einstein here. I like that movie. I liked him in that movie at least.
Every time I think about that whole the culture of Portland and Seattle, Washington, it just makes me think of how actually degenerate Kurt Cobain was if you really think about what he pushed on society during the 90s. So I also talk about the same with Roseanne, right? Like everybody grew up, watching Roseanne, but Roseanne's now America's Talmudic Kabbalist Q grandmother, right? Where she's standing up there with Trump, right? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but you did a
That's a
lot of
fucking
destroying of
good way of
society in the
putting
90s, like this ain't no like you're not taking it back from the globalists when I remember they rebooted the Connors and you were perfectly fine and actually applauding them having a transsexual, a transgender Connor, so I'm like, it hasn't changed. Like your morals are nowhere, but they're still trying to push Roseanne Barr as like someone that we're supposed to be like, yeah, that's right. I remember Roseanne, and now she's with Trump, and they're taking down the deep state.
Well, dude, honestly, Trump introduced degeneracy to the right wing. Like, I mean, the right wing has always been kind of degenerate because they were like anti-woke culture, right? But like Trump like made like your Christian mother that is like uptight and this and that loves Donald Trump also has to like contend with that he was like on his third wife and cheating on his pregnant current wife with a stripper / whore.
While he's backstage at like the Mrs. Teen America pageant, right?
Yeah, and then she's like, well, he's God's Christian warrior. And you're like, so like it's a real like it's making the right wing that kind of thinks that they pretend that they like trad values like totally just like step and roll in dog shit.
It's one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest things. It's one of the biggest things to determine really who does have traditional values and who does care about conservatism and who's part of Conservatism Inc. That's what I call it. Like, what are they conserving? They're not conserving anything, And so you had Trump, Trump's literally holding a pride flag up, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "I love you guys," And then when
he's holding up the Israeli flag, he might as well be holding up a Pride Progress flag
might
too.
As well
the gayest city in the world is fucking
Tel Aviv, Tel but Aviv. I mean, he's doing both. And the thing is they're like, well, Trump is ordained by God. I'm like, no, Trump's not a Christian. He said that he's never asked God for forgiveness ever, and I'm like, this is the best. It's like with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is supposedly fighting against, transgenderism, right? Supposedly, allegedly, right? That's what they say, right? But then he comes up there and he goes, well, don't worry about gay marriage. That's already been done and settled. Don't worry about gay marriage at all. That's already law. Just worry about the transgenders now. So does that mean in 5 or 10 years, Tucker's going to be like, look, we lost the war of transgenders. Okay. It's fine now. Don't worry about it now. Now
Tucker's going to start tucking and he's going to be a fucking transgender. And then you're just going to accept it. And that is what happens because conservatives literally cannot, for the life of them, conserve anything.
That's true.
Absolutely nothing. Like, I think that is like the perfect way that Michael Malice has said it is like conservatism is just progressivism driving in the speed limit or whatever the fuck that is. It's driving the speed limit. Because it's fucking true. Because they absolutely, you're absolutely right. You cannot find a mainstream, any type of Republican that will actually say, well, I'm against gay marriage. We should reverse that. No. Not one. But the Democratic platform in 1995 was like the marriage is between a man and a woman. And now you can't find a Republican today that will say
that. Obama said it. Obama said it in 2008.
He wouldn't say it again, though.
Hillary was saying it until 2013.
But that's
none of them would say it again, though.
That's how far they move things, though, Thomas. That's how far they've moved everything. They've moved, he won't say it again. None of them will, but they keep moving the goalposts, And so that's where it ends up. And I mean, I've done a 13-part expose on Tucker. I mean, Tucker... where do we start? 2 separate Comet Pizza Ping Pong reviews that he was a part of in between 2007 and 2009 as a frequent visitor. He was good friends with David Brock forever. I don't care about this Media Matters Tucker feud nonsense. It's not true. Because they met through his father. They met through Dick Carlson. And he was visiting Comet Pizza Ping Pong for years.
Have you had their walnut sauce, though?
No.
You just you don't get it.
Nah. It's interesting. Before Pizzagate broke, because I have celiac disease, and I was in the DC area, driving through I-95 to go up north, and I was like, there's this place called Comet Pizza. They got a gluten-free pizza supposedly. I didn't end up going. I'm glad I never went. Now, looking back at hindsight being 2020, right? But I almost did. I almost ate a Comet Pizza.
I hear they have a kids menu
cheese
too.
Pizza?
Nah, I'm more of a pepperoni pizza guy myself. But
I think they're all code words for something bad. I don't think there's a right answer to that.
I don't think
that is true, yes.
Like,
but
I'll just get a hot dog.
Yeah.
But how could Tucker be best friends with Hunter Biden, where Hunter Biden's literally writing recommendations for his kids to get in college? Okay. And be good friends with James Alphonsus and David Brock. Okay. What are the odds? What are the odds that Tucker Carlson excuses, Hunter Biden for a while being like, oh, just leave him alone. He's got a drug problem. He's had enough problems. Just leave him alone. Leave him alone. It's like, how many excuses do people make for the idols that they make in their right-wing idols? It's crazy. Like the 2016 election and Cambridge Analytica and the Council for National Policy and the way they brainwashed, they literally hijacked conspiracy, which has always been set up this way, so that they can literally make it mainstream. Because I remember when my dad, who was a conspiracy theorist, used to talk about, the CFR, and people would like be like in Bilderberg and laugh in his face. Like, it doesn't matter who you were talking to, anybody, mostly 95% of the people you talk to would laugh in his face. All right. Where now you talk to a person about it, and yeah, you still have people that don't buy into conspiracies. Okay. But the majority of people out there now are like, yeah, the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, who looks like a Bond villain, but they don't tell you about the other side, which is the World Future Society, and Barbara Marx Hubbard, and Klaus Schwab's mentor was World Future Society member Herman Kahn. They don't talk about the WFS, they all talk about the WEF. So they've been, 2016 is literally when they initiated the masses, the beginning of the externalization of the hierarchy that Alice Bailey wrote about. That's where it starts. And we're told in conspiracy culture, this is the best thing ever. That's what we've been programmed. Finally, the Great Awakening will happen. Finally, the fifth dimension will be unveiled and the Pleiadians will come down. Like, in conspiracy culture, we've been programmed that this leads to a great thing, where finally the world takes back, the reins of power from the elite. But the issue is if you've been... it took me a long time, because I didn't believe this at first. It took me a long time to kind of have this, this kind of shift in the way that I see the world, in that, conspiracism has been hijacked for closer than 100 years or even more to set up for this to happen, to set up for 2016 with Donald Trump and conspiracies to be unveiled to the world, for it to happen. And we're told it's a good thing, but it's not a good thing.
It's coming to fruition like hard right now. Like, we just had a comment saying Alex Jones is a big player. And I still, honestly, I have a soft spot in my heart. I love Alex Jones. But I do have to say, like, listening to him, like, the whole, like, fake controversy about him now he's allowed back on X, and now, and like, and I'm listening to him and Steven Crowder and talking about how, like, now we're the mainstream. We're beating the globalists, and the Great Awakening is happening right now, and everybody is getting ready for this. And he is talking about, like, there are the mainstream now. And, like, dude, I mean, he kind of is at this point. Like, Alex Jones gets way more downloads, way more views, and has way more credibility than CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. Like, your father at home right now probably trusts Alex Jones, and rightfully so in some ways, more than he does the mainstream media. But that totally does open up. It gives Alex Jones this power, because he has this hue of, like, a victim, and he has this hue of like, he's the one that is what's the fucking word that I'm looking for? He's the one that's being persecuted, and they're trying to keep what he has to say under wraps, but he's been right about so many things, and now, like, he has this huge, like, fucking, like, I'm not saying Alex Jones
pariah.
Is the Antichrist.
He's like a pariah.
But, like, if he wanted to be the Antichrist, he could be. Like, it's fucking funny, man. Like, he is the mainstream now. Alex Jones,
very much so.
Everybody knows his name. He's been talked about so fucking much. Everybody knows who he is because of the Sandy Hook thing, because of the fucking, like, being in the courts and dragged through all this stuff. And now that makes him look like more of a victim too. And then he's a giant fucking Zionist now too, which is super fucking lame. I'm like, Alex, what happened to you, dude? What did you do at Bohemian Grove when the cameras turned off, or when you thought the cameras turned off?
Yeah, he's always been that way. He's always been in with the Council for National Policy. I showed, from his original websites that I could pull from the early InfoWars websites and early Prison Planet websites. Well, who did he suggest people go to? Drudge, which is CMP, WorldNet Daily, Fryer, which is CMP. Like, he was pushing CMP people and CMP talking points almost from his inception when he was on the World Wide Web in 1998, 1999. I mean, Prison Planet's a Scientology term, and there's vast connections between Alex Jones and Scientology. Josh Reeves, fleshed that out in his movie, The Secret Right Volume 2, and later with Spellcasters with Jim Mars, who I once admired greatly, but he's got vast Scientology connections too, and so you're like, okay, so why? It's like with Alex Jones, like, literally anybody who still has any faith in Alex Jones, I'm about to destroy you right here and now with what just happened. Okay, so he did a space with Elon Musk and a whole bunch of people, and he literally starts worshiping Elon Musk, literally. And he's like, oh, well, Elon Musk is talking about the Neuralink, right? Which we all think is obviously bad, right? I mean, anybody with, two brain cells.
I'm on the fence.
Okay.
I'm on the fence.
All right. We'll talk about that. All right. That'll be an interesting debate between us. All right. He's like, it'll give sight to the blind and it'll cure all these diseases. And Alex Jones is like, well, if you're doing it, Elon Musk, and it's not someone else, then I'm okay with it. And I'll plug it and it's fine. And I'm like, oh no, and so are people going to start just like Alex Jones was shilling the vaccine initially? Alex Jones was shilling. Yeah, he was. You can go back.
I didn't know that.
Thomas, he was initially shilling the vaccine with Mike Adams, who's got deep connections to Scientology. Okay. I've done 2 shows on Mike Adams' connections to Scientology. And they were shilling the vaccine initially, and they were shilling lockdowns. They were saying Trump's our guy. And they were talking about Rex 84 camps, which Alex Jones has done a complete about-face that says that Rex 84 camps, the conventional knowledge that, FEMA camps is going to put dissidents, American dissidents in those camps. That's how it was in the 1980s. It was supposed to be for there was going to be a war in Latin America, that they were going to send dissidents, like hippies were dissidents in the 60s. The new dissidents in the 80s were going to go to the Rex 84 camps. That's what the plan was for, right? He says that's communist liberal propaganda. In reality, those camps were there because if there was destabilization in Latin America, that immigrants would come across the border and they were going to put immigrants in those camps, and it was not for the dissidents, and that if Trump had to do that he would back Trump, and that the FEMA camps were a good thing. I have the video of him and Mike Adams both saying it, both praising Trump and praising the FEMA camps. He did a completely 100% 180. All right. That's messed up. That's messed up. Because if Trump's in power, then all this stuff is okay. And same thing he was using logic with the vaccine.
I'm going to regret the back tattoo that I got now.
Why is it a QR code? Oh no, actually, I got. Yeah, it's true. Okay, what's the back tattoo? What
it was just Alex Jones, and then I got a Vax right after that. Now we're getting both of those.
Yeah, the Alex Jones one. But hey, he was the guy who, again, I learned that 9/11 was an inside job from him. I didn't listen to my own father when he was saying it. But, Alex Jones, I did in 2008, So, again, like Nate, I still have a little affinity for him. But he's a New World Order shill. He is.
Yeah, man. I mean, me listening to him just the other day, he was on Michael Malice's show, and he was talking about, like, well, I mean, I wouldn't trust Klaus Schwab's brain chip. Because I know what he would use it for, but like I want everybody to be able to use brain chips if they need them. So if there's a brain chip that's going to help me do this or that, then give me the brain chip right now. And I'm like, for real, Alex Jones? Like you're ready to take the brain chip for like I'm like, dog. He's just like he's trying to get like people that are like nut jobs like me that like fuck you. I'm getting a brain chip. Go fuck yourself. Right here.
There's an important distinction here. Because I'm curious.
I could get the brain chip, and I should get the brain chip.
Are you anti-brain chips across the board, or just anti-Elon Musk brain chip?
I'm both.
Dude, I'm telling you right now that I was one of those people that like literally they would say like, hey, if I had a COVID vaccine in one hand, I'd like we're gonna get kicked off to YouTube. I don't give a fuck. Or a gun against your head. Which one are you taking? I'm like, shoot me in the fucking head.
I was the same way.
Before I touched that shit.
I was the same way. My friends had a thing where they were like, would you rather do heroin or take the vaccine? Or would you rather the only liquid you could drink is Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, aspartame? The only liquid could drink no water or nothing. The only liquid I could drink is Diet Coke for the rest of my life. Would I take that or get the vaccine? I said, give me the Diet Coke. I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alex Jones and Mike Adams shilled the vaccine. They said because Trump produced it through Operation Warp Speed that it was safe. He said that for at least a few weeks, if not for a few months. Mm-hmm. At the very start of Operation Warp Speed in the pandemic.
Jesus Christ.
Which one of those came with the donut?
Dude, they were having joints for jabs where I was. You could fucking walk.
That sounds right for Portland.
I mean, in all seriousness, if I'm 18 and I'm broke and someone tells me that I can get some free weed for taking a jab and a donut and some fries, I don't know, man.
Buddy,
it would not feel like that big of a
21.
stretch.
Here in North Carolina, it was fried chicken.
They would not give you those joints until you're fucking 21. Sorry, what were you saying, John?
I said here in North Carolina, it was fried chicken.
Dude, I think the worst thing that I had heard is they were offering they were going to like poor black neighborhoods, and they specifically said that they were targeting barbershops with information, like they were trying to like with disinformate, whatever you want to call it. They were like propagandizing.
Someone slides in like, "Say, jive turkeys, y'all heard about this super dope?"
Exactly, dude. And they were giving out, Thomas, what's that fucking like really shitty restaurant that black people love in the South? It's like a breakfast spot, like you can go and like, you know what I'm talking about? It's like black people Denny's. What's black people Denny's?
I have no idea.
Like,
I don't know.
Yeah,
Denny's.
Waffle House.
It's
Waffle House.
Oh, don't you dare start talking.
Hey, no,
about Waffle House. Hold on.
Waffle House is amazing. No.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything bad about it. I just said it's black Denny's. It is black Denny's.
No, dude. No, Waffle House is its own thing that stands apart from Denny's. Waffle House.
From Waffle House.
Yeah, dude, we're about to fight right now, and you don't realize this because you're on like
actually really good. You guys just don't know.
No, so you're on the fake side of the country, so you don't know this. But in Florida, there's actually something called the Waffle House Index.
Yeah, we have that too as well.
Waffle House are some of the realest, truest Americans on the fucking planet. And when there's a hurricane coming, if the Waffle House isn't closed, it means you don't have to evacuate. But if the Waffle House is closed, it means get your ass out of there, because like the last true bastion to fight against the fucking windwalkers or whatever you call them, right? Like the White Walkers, like that is the Waffle House employees.
They'll bring generators in. They'll bring generators in to keep Waffle House open. They got plans. They got plans, don't they, Thomas? They got plans.
You eat your fucking words right now, Nate.
Okay, so anyways, those pieces of shit were going into the barbershops and offering them, we're offering the blacks, they were like, hey, here's some Waffle House gift certificates if you get the jab.
I'm signing up for my jab right now. Let's do it, Thomas. Let's do it.
But,
Waffle House gift cards,
the
how
worst
much?
part of it is some of them, they had to admit, they were like, some of them were like expired or like didn't have any money on them. They were just fucking giving out like fake gift certificates to the Waffle House. If these black people would get the jab,
mad.
I was like,
That makes me mad.
Christ.
That makes me mad.
That's the worst part I've heard about this whole pandemic now.
Like they couldn't even get that omelet.
I almost feel it's like a trick question though too, because any real maybe I'm out of turn here, but any real Waffle House aficionado, they'd be like, fuck you, I can afford my own Waffle House. I don't need the job for, this $3 whatever meal.
Not now in Biden's America where stuff costs $10 at Waffle House. So I mean it's a little bit different in Biden's America. So.
Remember the Grand Slam used to be under $10 and it came with like a baseball card with a hologram. Come on.
Did you notice? Okay, I will get off Waffle House talk because we're probably boring here, people. But I will say that I want to ask you this, Thomas. Have you gone in recently and noticed that they kind of like shortlined the menu since COVID, but you can still actually ask for the extended menu that still has everything on it? Okay,
the real ones now.
Yes, you can still get a T-bone steak. You can still get a cheesesteak omelet. You just have to ask for the extended menu.
Waffle House basically has the same menu as a Texas strip club.
But is it actually good? Like if
you
I've had a steak at Denny's once, and I swear to God, they like just ran it under warm water.
Well, here's your mistake though, is you keep trying to equate Denny's with Waffle House. Waffle House, and then I'll just generalize here. Waffle House is mostly for truckers, while Denny's is for drunks. That's the main difference between those two. And that's why you'll usually see a Waffle House right at the off-ramp or on-ramp, whereas Denny's might be buried a little bit deeper, and it's probably around some bars.
And you get your hash browns any way you want.
Every time I've ever eaten at Denny's, I was shit-faced, and it was after I got out of the bar. Yeah, you're right. It's for drunk people.
And that's also why people tend to, if you go to a Denny's sober, you're going to be disappointed. If you go to a Waffle House sober, you know exactly what you're getting and you're going to get it.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did you guys ever watch WWE wrestling in the past?
Oh, yeah. Well, WWF, I don't
WWF,
do this woke WWE crap. I don't let no fucking pandas muscle me out of my branding.
Fair. I actually met Mark Henry at a Fayetteville, North Carolina, in a Waffle House on 301 after a SmackDown, and got his autograph. And man, let me tell you, Mark Henry is a beast, and that man can put down some food. He ate a lot of food, but he was a nice man. He was very nice and very cordial. Yeah, it was that's only time I've really ever met anybody I could consider to be quote unquote famous was Mark Henry at a Waffle House. So that's my Waffle House story.
Nail in this coffin here, just because Nate needs to just be put out of his misery. But another big difference too. I don't believe that Waffle House serves any sort of fried fish, whereas Denny's does. So when you go to Waffle House, you are getting something that even Nate, you as like a world-renowned chef, you probably understand that even if you wanted to make the best freaking waffle or the best whatever in the world, unless you've got that vat of like oil that's been just like fermenting for a couple months, you're not going to get the same flavor as if you go to a Waffle House and they've got that vat that's been fermenting and it has not been tainted by some gross tilapia fillet that came out of a freezer at any point. So it's like the best of the best.
Now, I got to be honest, I don't know about this or not, but I know that a lot of those places will have separate fryers for that kind of shit.
That is true.
Like they'll have a fish fryer.
Don't sidestep this with your logic.
The logic is there. You have separate fryers for meats than you do for.
There's cross contamination. If I can smell it, it's in the air.
There is, yes, to some degree. Which is why I can't have fried foods in most places.
I got a hand job in a Denny's bathroom once. What am I getting at the Waffle House?
You're getting some good food. You're getting some good food. And
whatever you get at the Waffle House, there won't be teeth in it.
There's no teeth in my hand job.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you go to the Waffle House, guaranteed, whatever happens to you, there won't be any teeth involved.
Okay, that's
well.
Good.
You are eating the food, so there is teeth involved there, though. I raised that.
It's a fair point.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Well, we're
gonna have to take Nate to a Waffle House somehow. Somehow we're gonna have to arrange this. So
I don't know if Waffle House is the same on the West Coast as on the East Coast, though. It might be just like
IHOP is horrible.
Though
I don't Waffle House is way better than IHOP.
Yeah, where does IHOP measure up on this?
No. IHOP is worse. IHOP's worse than Denny's because they had a crab omelet, and my friend ordered it, and I thought I was going to throw up. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever smelled in my entire life because it wasn't real crab. You know when they make the sashimi out of like the fish and they kind of like paste
crab with a K.
You know, yeah.
Pollock.
I was like, yeah, pollock. That's right. I was like, why did you order this? This is disgusting, you know. And so, like, ever since then, I'm like, IHOP. I mean, think about it. IHOP right now, they're doing their Willy Wonka pancakes with like purple glow in the dark radioactive syrup, you know. And it's like, come on, you couldn't do anything better, you know. Like,
he was killing those kids, right? Like those kids didn't make out.
They didn't know. But I mean, IHOP is a third to me. Denny's is a second. I'll give Nate that. But Waffle House is definitely number one, hands down.
Well, Thomas, if we are actually gonna go to Georgia in fucking May, we might have to figure out a Waffle House.
There's Waffle Houses in Georgia.
If you're in Georgia, I might say Buc-ee's. I think Buc-ee's might be a better choice than Waffle House. In many
you might have to eat more than once.
Dude, Buc-ee's
have to take
for breakfast, they'll give you like a burrito the size of your head filled with barbecued pulled pork for breakfast.
They do got that Texas brisket at Buc-ee's. They do got that brisket.
And like they'll serve it to you for breakfast. Like that's how legit Buc-ee's is.
I can eat brisket any time of day, dude. Dude,
Me
there's
too.
something about gas station burritos, like solid ones. Like there's like straight up beaners, like that don't speak English that work at this like 76 station, like down the work from my like right down the road from my work. And I literally got a burrito this fucking big with some spicy chicken at $8.99, dude. Are you kidding me? That's
Not
cheap
bad.
as fuck, dude.
Is that cheap on the West
That's cheap.
Coast? Jesus, dude,
Oh,
that's crazy.
food's so expensive out here. You
Dude,
cannot
that's
get a
cheap in
burrito
North
for under like
Carolina.
$15.
It can't be that much cheaper in Florida down there, Thomas. I don't live in
I don't know, dude. We've got some really great Mexican restaurants around here. If I want a burrito early in the morning, like it doesn't cost more than a couple dollars.
maybe if you're buying for food
You're
trucks
living
around here, maybe, but outside of food trucks, no. Mm-mm.
Maybe I'm just spoiled, but Orlando is definitely flooded with food trucks, like 24/7.
That's what it is. You're getting it from food trucks. Food trucks, yes.
Well,
At a
and everyone
restaurant,
has to
no.
compete with the food trucks. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
okay, I see.
And dude, we've got food trucks that'll pull up in the parking lot of a freaking restaurant. So I'm sure they're not happy about it, but
How about let's talk about some real gross food. Where do you line up with like 7-Eleven taquitos? Because some of they're pretty banging, dude.
Have you guys seen the Japanese 7-Eleven food that they show on TikToks where someone's
it's
like,
actually good.
I'm gonna go inside a Japanese 7-Eleven, and you're like looking at all the food in Japan, and you're like, and it costs nothing. Like it literally costs nothing over there for the food, right? Compared to here, right? And you're like, man, they eat so much better than we do. Why can't we have any of this stuff here? Because we're America. We have to have blue Takis. Like why can't we go to like 7-Eleven and actually get some like good food for a fair price? Is it just me? Am I just being too bitter?
Cheeseburger hot dog right now at 7-Eleven. They're open 7-Eleven. And then they have the free nacho cheese. You can just drown it in that cancer sauce, and it's delicious.
I'll take sushi and a pork katsu sandwich any day over bacon cheeseburger hot dog from 7-Eleven that's been sitting underneath the heat lamp with some nacho cheese. I don't think that's going to be. I think you're going to end up going to regret it in the toilet a few hours later. Just me.
You know what's interesting, man? What do you think it is about Japan? Like Japan, in theory, has like the right wing, like conservative culture, like that, and they're an ethno state for the most part, and they're all like married and this. Well, some of them are, and they have like this very like conservative and really like well behaved, low crime, but their population rates are in the fucking dumpster.
Well, they did at one time. Well, they did at one time, but they don't anymore really now. You have kind of the degeneracy flourishing within Japan. You have a whole class of hikikomori, right? So it's like, that's why, like you said, the population rates are just in the toilet because it's not. There's a lot of things I like about Japan, but there's a lot of things I don't like about Japan. As far as like, Christianity never flourished there, for example, and unlike Korea, so you could argue South Korea versus Japan, like what's better, and then from there it's like, well, they both have their problems. Every country has their problems. Every society has their problems. Let's be real here. But Japan,
not Israel, by the way. We
well,
were
no, we're not
Israel
allowed to.
from this.
We're not allowed to criticize our greatest ally, Thomas. Okay, no, we're not allowed to do that at all.
What's there even to criticize? It's silly.
Exactly
silly.
right. Never. I'm sorry. I apologize. When I'm at every country, I'm at every country but Israel. Okay.
I'm just saying for everyone else out there, it's already a given. But anyone that's an idiot that doesn't realize that.
We're allowed to criticize America all day long, right? But the greatest ally, we never can. We never can. But
dude, if the Bible was really doing shit like it did back in the day, Tel Aviv is basically Sodom and Gomorrah and should be turned into like everyone should be turned into a pillar of salt.
Well, I do believe Mystery Babylon and Revelation is Jerusalem, which means they're going to get 2 cups of God's wrath poured upon them and destroyed. So. Eventually that will happen.
Here's to hoping.
Hasn't come to pass yet. So,
which one of those comes with a donut?
Which one, Thomas? Sodomy or Gomorrah? What have we done? Which one comes with a donut?
That's what I asked.
I think sodomy. I think less the Gomorrah. But you know, I mean, it's just the world that we live in. You know, I mean, with everything that's going on. I mean, have you guys seen? Have you guys seen? Okay, I guess I'll say this. They're trying to bring back the greatest hits on X, right? Because everybody's on X now because Tucker's there and Elon Musk is there and Alex Jones is there. So they're trying to like replay the 2016 playbook to get people to vote for Trump a second time, right? So, but you remember they had like they've already done Pizzagate, and they remember Marina Abramovic was in Ukraine, right? You know, and she was going to be with Zelensky to help renovate their school system and to teach the kids, right? So that was Pizzagate. And done again, right? You know, and then they had Wayfair done again with this new Etsy thing, right? Where they're replaying Wayfair, but they're like, see all these expensive art pictures of pizza on Etsy? You know, they're like, it has to be some sort of trafficking code. Now, me being who I am, I'm like, man, you guys set this up like 3 or 4 years ago on Etsy, and you're just running a psychological operation now to make people think that it's Wayfair again. You know, like, how long have they been setting up for all this? You know, and look, I'm not saying the elites are corrupt. I've spent years, investigating and bringing out documents on elite institutionalized pedophilia. You know, I mean, I've I'm writing a book on the Finders, operation right now, and so it's not like, it's like when I was calling out Operation Underground Railroad and Tim Ballard as being a fraud, which you can go back to my original Higher Side Chats episode 2017 when I was, I mean, people were like, well, what, you're pro pedophilia, you're a pedophile, John? And I'm like, no, it's like all this stuff is psychological operations and spiritual warfare. Like, come on, people. And now Tim Ballard's completely imploded. You got women coming out with allegations against him, and Reyes is opening up a criminal investigation of him in Salt Lake to save his butt, even though he's stepping down. You know, it's like all of this they're going to play the greatest hits because that's all they know how to do. And people are going to fall for him, and they're going to continue to fall for him, and they're falling for him hook, line, and sinker.
John, that maybe was the first time I heard you, was you talking about that movie, whatever the fuck it's called, like Freedom,
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom.
Kitty touching, yeah, Sound of Freedom. Maybe that was the first time I heard you. I'm not totally certain, but I think I definitely heard your take on that. And like, there's absolutely a psyop in like right-wing conspiracy circles where because legitimately our elites are fucking pedophiles. Like, there's no fucking doubt about it. I think that a huge amount of them actually are fucking pedophiles. They are diddling kids. There could be even some blood drinking. There could be all kinds of fucking shit. But the way that they make us look even crazier by saying everything is that, and by like, even like, if you dispute the numbers where they say like 800,000 kids go missing every year in America, but the number is actually like this much of that, because if there was like literally 800,000 kids going missing every year, like you'd know like
the
12
math's
kids
not mathing. The math
it doesn't fucking work. Like, but if you question that number, then all of a sudden, like you said, they're like, "Are you a pedophile, John? Are you defending the pedophiles, John?" Like, and they'll start attacking you, because if you start talking about logic at all, if you start because it's not actually true that there's not that many fucking kids that go missing, but. No. There's also anyway, so then when you actually start like talking about and start pointing at like real legitimate things, then they can just say you're a Pizzagate nut and this, that, and the other. And so then it gives the elite that are actually diddling kids, it gives them a fucking line of defense.
Yeah,
it's brilliant, dude. Yeah, they can
that's the paradigm with everything. That's how they get you. Because that's how they end up boxing you in, right? Because the moment you talk about it, like you said, the moment you talk about elite institutionalized pedophilia, you're a Pizzagate nutter. And the moment you're like, hey, there might be some issues with Operation Underground Railroad. Hey, there might be some issues with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the International Center of Missing and Exploited Children, which, Operation Underground Railroad was under. where ICMEC on the board of advisors was Hillary Clinton. It's like, hey, maybe Wayfair was just psychological operations and psychological warfare. There wasn't really anything to it. Like the moment you start questioning these narratives, then, oh, wait, you pedophile? It's like, no, not at all. That's abhorrent. But the thing
John,
is that's the dialect that they
your
use.
Beard a little bit, you might get that accusation less too, though. When it starts growing out instead of down,
that is true.
Maybe some beard oil.
That is true. Yes, baby. Yes, but if I get a white van with no windows, but that's just how it is. That's how the conspiracy culture is now. It's been weaponized. And it's only going to lead to what I think is the rising coming beast system. What they call the Great Reset to the Great Awakening, right? The funny Great Awakening, right? And there's this documentary that came out of this cult, this love has one mother goddess cult that came on HBO recently, and I've been watching the documentary, right?
There's a show sponsor, by the way.
That I know you're joking. I know you're joking there. As an ITP, sarcasm, but I'm autistic when it comes to sarcasm. I can't read your face. I know you're joking, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we're joking, but if you don't think we're joking, Paranoid 15% off. Anyways, keep going.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, okay, you are messing with me. I know you're messing with me now. All right. So anyway, but the thing is like they're using it to paint conspiracy theorists as nut jobs. The documentary, like I know that's a side of it. I know it is. Okay, but at the same time, they're not wrong in the documentary to point out that these people have been indoctrinated through theosophical thinking and through conspiracy culture to literally believe that Trump's savior. Like that was a main part of the cult. And there's no difference between them and Elizabeth Clare Prophet and the Church Universal and Triumphant in the 80s, But the thing is this is, if Alice Bailey says externalization of hierarchy happens in 2025, and Cliff High, Webbots is talking, like they're all talking that this is going to happen, right? Now, it may not happen. They've been wrong before countless other times, and ultimately God's in control. I don't know, okay, if it's going to happen or not. But it sure looks like it's going to, okay? As far as you're going to have this quote-unquote great awakening where all of a sudden majority of the people are going to go, hey, you were right about conspiracy theories. Now, the only issue with that is they start buying into the wrong ones. They start buying into, like, it leads to Trump's our guy. And when Trump becomes president, and I believe he will, and becomes inaugurated in January 2025, that's when all of a sudden you get Alex Jones being like, oh, those med beds are real, folks. That's Tesla's technology, and it's real. It's real, and Q is going to give it to you, and Alex Jones and Elon Musk are going to make it happen, folks. That's what you end up getting. You end up getting what we're told in the conspiracy movement is a utopia. But in reality, if you read the works of Barbara Marx Hubbard, who was an elite, her family, the Marx family, were financiers to the Bushes. That's how rich they were and how elite they were. Okay. She's saying, yeah, if you kind of don't go along with this, we're going to kill you. And the elite are going to kill roughly about 1/4 of the world population. And we're the pale horse riders of death. Okay. She said this. I have the quote in her book. Okay. And we're the ones that are going to do the culling. And everybody out there that's got a kind of a queasy stomach about 1/4 of the world dying because they don't want to go along with this, kind of love and light, med bed, Trump's in control, white hats, patriots are in control, Great White Lodge is in control, Alice Bailey, utopia, you're going to have to die.
John, who are they going to kill?
Pretty much anybody doesn't take the mark of the beast at that point. I mean, that's what I would assume it would be. I mean, anybody who doesn't sign up for their love and light utopia, I mean, Alice Bailey said the Shambhala force is just going to eject people into space. It's like, but Alice Bailey also wrote about, you got to take the guns, I mean, she said that for the Great White Lodge to show itself, for the externalization of the hierarchy to occur, the guns have to be taken. And most conspiracy
Oh my-
theories right then there should be like, no.
Well, this sounds like Bigfoot, dude. This sounds like Alice Bailey was predicting like a new oncoming of Bigfoot, but Bigfoot won't come around unless he knows the guns are gone.
That is true. Yes, he doesn't want to be hunted. Obviously, now he is able to, as an interdimensional demon, go between dimensions. So he is able
is
to
Bigfoot
avoid shots.
Did you just say he's a demon?
He's an interdimensional demon. Yes, I mean I don't know. That's how I look at it when I look into cryptozoology. Maybe if he exists, that's what I think that he is. He's a Nephilim that is able to go between the dimensions. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he's not. Maybe he doesn't exist for all I know.
You know what? He could be an angel. What if Bigfoot is an angel? What if he is a cherubim and that's not hair, those are all eyes. And they just look a little fuzzy and he's just covered in eyes. The wheel within a wheel. I don't know.
Has Bigfoot taken people or not, though? That's the question.
I've heard certain stories about Bigfoot taking you for a bush bride, but those might just be But
that would make him a Nephilim, right? If he's taking people for a bride, right?
They might be
the
just
Nephilim
like
would be the
schizo,
offspring, right? I thought it was
yeah,
Watchers.
Yeah, you're right. So it would be the
humans.
Watchers. Yes, correct. It'd be the Watchers, and it would lead to them producing a Nephilim, yes, or a giant, yes.
We might joke about snorting cum here, but we get very serious when it comes to the properties of Nephilim.
That is true. I'm tired, so my brain's a little fog, and I was messing up the terminology between the two. Michael Heisner's Unseen Realms is a pretty good book. If no one's ever listened to it or read it, it's pretty good. Book to discuss. Nephilim and those. Have you guys ever come across Brother Paul's work that the Nephilim look like clowns?
I've been thinking about reaching out to that guy. I've listened to him once, and it was a fascinating idea. Yeah. That is an interesting idea.
I think it's possible. Yeah. I don't know how much you can really prove it, but I think it's possible. And he does a good job laying out his theory. I'm not going to say his theory is wrong. I think it's very much plausible with just clowns in general throughout history. What do you think about that, Thomas? What do you think it's possible?
Well, clowns have always gotten a magical pass. Even comedians, they're like the only ones. That's like the cliche that comedians are the only ones that are allowed to tell the truth. But maybe
the jesters.
I don't know. You could sway me to say that it's really because they've got like ancient Watcher blood in them, and that's why no one's allowed to attack comedians.
The Royal Order of the Jesters too, as well, right down there in New Orleans. The Freemasons, Royal Orders of the Jesters too.
The Jesters are like from what I understand, they're the far end of the spectrum of like the partying, getting wasted, ordering some hookers side of Freemasonry. So like you start out at the Shriners, and then if the Shriners aren't hardcore enough for you, then maybe you start wandering into the Jesters. That's the way that I've understood it. That's not a direct line path, but
that is true. That's what I've heard too. But then again, as far as Freemasonry, how much we know is true and how much do we know is not true either too. It's like, I mean, I'm anti-Freemasonry, obviously, but it's with everything. It's like, I'm pretty sure you've came across Albert Pike's so-called three world war letter to Manzini, right?
Mm-hmm.
Standard of conspiracy lore. Well, I tried to track it down to see if it existed, like if it actually existed, if it actually was correspondent between Pike and Manzini. It's not.
No, it's bullshit. It came from Leo Taxel.
Yeah, and you could even argue that the first time it was put in conspiracy culture was by former Canadian intelligence officer William Guy Carr in Palms in the Game. And then Bannon's an intelligence officer. Jack Posobiec's a former Navy intelligence officer. Those Navy intelligence officers know how to do disinfo.
Well, just FYI, from personal experience, if you ever say, like, I don't know if that letter from Albert Pike to Mazzini is real, then that makes you a high-ranking Freemason Jesuit that's working again. Like, you're basically standing up for Albert Pike at that point, are you not?
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. The moment you break down people's worldviews is the moment they try to label such allegations against you, right? That's what we
like. Hey, do you have a source for that? They're like, aha, I got you. I knew you were in on it the whole time.
Even though I can't stand Albert Pike, but it is what it is. You know?
I mean, he was a dick, right? And honestly, I don't even know where he would fit on the whole like conservative and non-conservative thing. He was an interesting dude. He basically was like a free lawyer.
He slept with a lot of a lot of married women. And got ran out of town because of it. There's a lot of stories of Albert Pike being a philanderer. So, again,
You're
as far as
selling me on him more now.
On conservative values, no, but on conservative values, then yes, he would fit the bill for that.
But he was also like your right-wing trad daddy because like he was there for like the founding of the KKK, and he was there for like the founding of like.
Well, man, there's so many things that it just sounds wrong, like, and defensive. But from my understanding of Albert Pike and the founding of KKK was that he was there at the. And again, this sounds silly, but this is honestly what I read that makes the most sense. Is that he was there to help found the first truly American secret society because Freemasonry was not American.
That is true. Yeah,
it was not American. So they were like, this could be the thing. This Ku Klux Klan thing could be the first truly American secret society. And he shows up, and I'm just imagining, this is a little bit silly, but I'm out, and he printed out like little, and they all show up, and he's like, hell yeah, we got pretzels and we got raisins, and then 3 guys get together, and they're like, what's going on with all these black people and these Jews? And then everyone else was like, yeah, what about that? And Pike was like, wait, no, this wasn't what this was about. And then by the time he got that out, they had already like formed like a whole committee and decided what they were going to do. And my understanding was that he became disillusioned with that first wave of KKK. And then it was the second and third waves of Ku Klux Klan that were like the birth of a nation Ku Klux Klan. But that the very first original KKK wasn't necessarily racist until the first meeting, and then the meeting turned it racist.
You could sort of convince me that maybe he wasn't like that, except that like you told me that even today in Florida that the Freemasons don't let black people in.
Yeah. But that's not specific to Albert Pike, because Albert Pike was mostly Scottish Rite, and we're talking about just broad Masonry. And if anything,
that's why they formed Prince Hall Masonry, because they wouldn't let black people into the Masons.
Yep. And ironically, white people are allowed to get into Prince Hall Masonry, but it wasn't the other way around.
Wasn't what's his name, Tom DeLonge? Wasn't he accepted by the Prince Hall Masons, if I remember correctly?
There's pictures of him wearing an apron with 2 black guys, although I don't know if that's foolproof, but it's close enough for me.
You'll take it, Thomas.
I'll take it. Whatever. I mean, if he's presenting as such, I feel like there's very little difference, other than maybe he got paddled on his little bottom, but that's the only real difference.
I mean, wouldn't they fucking kick the shit out? Isn't that like stolen valor? Like if I was walking around claiming to be in the fucking, because I knew a dude that was his grandfather had been in the Masons, and he had been wearing his grandfather's Mason ring, and like some dudes took him aside and were like, "Look, your grandfather was a good dude. Take that fucking ring off your finger. You're not a brother. You're not allowed to wear that." And they kind of just like they were not fucking cool with that. Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if maybe it doesn't sound accurate though.
It does. It does. I could say down south. Well, I mean, you're down south. Well, Florida's different than like North Carolina, so I could see it happening in North Carolina.
Okay, yeah, that might be true. Because I have definitely heard of some Mason lodges that were very particular. I'll say. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, it's like the dude that like kind of dresses up in fatigues and kind of like puts on a fake patch on his thing to get his 10% off at fucking at Denny's, to get his like fucking
he's
there for his fucking free waffle at Waffle House.
There's really like 10% off at Waffle House for being a Freemason though. The only thing that you might be able to get is like sneak into a lodge meeting and then get some free mashed potatoes afterwards.
You guys don't have like you guys don't have an entrance, like your own fucking entrance. It's not like what was it like?
The stone cutters.
Yeah,
like
the stone cutters.
You hit the little like garage door opener and like the billboard opens. Yeah, that was Simpsons.
That's the only reason why I'd want to join the Freemasons, if you guys had like sweet perks like that.
No, I don't think that's how it works. Not to my knowledge, anyway.
Thomas would never tell me the truth, anyways.
I'm not trying to die.
He's my Thomas. What do you call that? You're my what's the person? What was Ghislaine Maxwell the fucking to Epstein
handler?
Yeah. Thomas is my handler, and he's like he's my CIA agent, and I just don't know it yet. He's like
he goes in the dark. That's what you're telling me.
I mean, all we do is, like, I don't really do much. I just throw fuel onto the fire, like any good CIA asset would do. Like, we're not here to make the news. We're here.
So you were there January 6th, opening the windows, saying, "Come on in, come in. You know, you want to come into the Capitol. It's come on. You come in. It's fine. Go ahead. It's all good. Let's go."
Yeah. I'm more like the guy that was rolling out red carpets. Like, I didn't enter the building. I just placed some red carpets in front, and I was playing some sounds of rabbits being mutilated in the background.
Dropping off the pallets of bricks on the corner. And then
that's right. Yeah, that was part of the brick company. Do you remember that? That was wild, man. That was like so blatant.
Okay. I'll say something about that. Now, that's one of the only conspiracies that I do think actually was true. And the only reason why I say that was because we had riots here in Fayetteville. Okay, so it happened when the rapper J. Cole showed up in downtown Fayetteville at the Market House, and he just disappeared all of a sudden. Like, he came and then he was gone. And then after that, like, a riot broke out, and they had dropped off pallets of bricks. Now, the only reason why I asked is because I know somebody who worked for the local utility company, and they were the ones that had, like, the bricks were for, supposedly, because you had, like, sheets of the, like, you know, kind of like what do you call those tarps that had the logo for the utility company on there. And I was like, so, like, was there a reason why there were, like, bricks there? Like, what were the bricks for? And they couldn't figure out what the bricks were, why they were there. They couldn't figure out exactly what they were going to be used for any projects, as far as, like, you know, like repairing the sidewalks that are downtown Fayetteville because they're old, with bricks from, like, doing, like, any type of, like, pipes, you know, like digging up, like, to replace pipes or anything like that. And they're like, we had work orders to drop them off there, but not for really what they're going to be used for or anything. And so I was like, okay, that's really odd. And then they did use the bricks to vandalize, like, the storefronts and stuff. And then they had the riots go to, like, Skyborough Road, where they took down a Walmart or whatever. I'm not going to go into, like, what they did, but again, like, you heard that on mainstream conservative media, where they kept talking about the bricks, and I thought it was kind of suspect and just a talking point, just psychological operation. But then they really, like, I know it happened in my own home city, so what am I supposed to say? You know,
it would have been really hard to fucking get in there, but, like, I fantasize. I was like, because, you know, like, I want to build, like, a pizza oven in my backyard. I'd want to fucking back up and fill up my fucking truck with some of those fucking free bricks.
Hey, it's better than going in. It's better than going into Windows.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I mean, that's the Mexican.
Do you think if
you want to start building?
If you built a pizza oven out of bricks, do you think it would taste better if those bricks had been used to smash through a government building first?
Only if it's cheese pizza.
See, that's the sad thing, is they weren't all government buildings, because there was a lawyer. It was sad because my uncle was still living. This before he took Regeneron and died due to side effects due to it. But during the pandemic, there was they actually threw bricks through a lawyer's building that was there, and he was a black lawyer that you know, did pro bono work for kind of like what do you call that when you're a defense attorney but you do a pro bono work for it. And they just completely trashed his office, got completely vandalized and everything. And my uncle and I went to help him kind of like collect the stuff, and like, and there were people obviously that helped out too as well, you know, clean up his office and stuff like that and everything. But it wasn't just like, you know, there were really people with small, like during the summer of rage or whatever they were calling it, You know, like it wasn't just corporations that got targeted or government buildings that got targeted. There were people with like, you know, regular mom and pop places or people that just own their businesses that got I mean, it was a way for both the pandemic and the summer of rage were ways for the government to just completely destroy small businesses.
Yeah, dude. No, I mean, I think there were so many aspects to it, right? So, like, they absolutely want to destroy small businesses, but they also want to piss people off. They want to piss off regular fucking people. They want people to lose hope and to like freak the fuck out because then you have that problem reaction solution. Like in multiple ways, right? So, like, let's say that they start because look at Portland right now. It's a fucking shithole, dude. And like the homeless people have basically taken it over. Like there's buildings that you can still like walk past in like downtown Portland that are still like boarded up. I haven't been there in a little bit, but like the last time I was there were still like straight up like boarded up windows and shit. And they're not even broken yet. They just know that it's gonna happen. So they're like preemptively boarding up their windows and shit. You know what I mean? Like it sucks, dude. And like you're gonna like if you leave your car for longer than 2 hours, somebody's gonna steal your fucking what do you call that, Thomas? What is it that everyone's stealing out of from underneath people's cars?
The catalytic
converters.
For the
dude that happens.
I forgot what it's got. Some kind of
fucking time.
Palladium. I think it's palladium.
That's it, right?
So I mean, it is very much that problem reaction solution, right? So then people are going to start like demanding like harsh right wing crackdowns. We need the cops. Like, please, daddy government, please come save us. Also, like, there's that huge thing of like they're destroying the big expensive cities. And I think they're actually like kicking people out and they're trying to get people like to move out of those places so they can consolidate and buy all that property. They want to drive the fucking property values down, buy it all up. BlackRock and buy all the fuck up. I think that's really going to happen in the next year or so because like right now property values are still high, but there's no buyers. Like people still are like asking like for 500, 600,000, whatever it is, like for a fucking 2-bedroom house. But I think that market is going to implode hard and really fucking soon because there's literally no demand, especially with the interest rates as high as they are. True. Like it's going to go whap, and then you're going to see BlackRock come out of the fucking woodworks again and just start buying up fucking houses because they've actually stated that numerous times that like this whole new thing they don't want anyone to own a fucking home. They want you to rent everything. They don't even want you to own your kids' toys. They don't want you to own a fucking bicycle. They want you to rent that fucking bicycle. Like they want you to rent everything. They want you to own nothing. I think so. This is all part of that. I think.
No, I agree. And you had the YouTuber Hunter Avallone, right? Have you guys heard the drama associated with him or what's been going on or anything?
No, I don't even know who.
He was a big defund the police advocate. He was very big about that, and his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, because he's very much pushing polyamorous relationships as well too. His former significant other had left him. After they had, I don't even want to talk about what happened. But anyway, with Hunter Avallone is so the ex shows up to the door and shoots his girlfriend in the leg, and so she's trying to protect him because he's such just a coward that he's like hiding behind her, and so he calls the police to come save him when he's against you having a gun, me having a gun, Thomas having a gun. He's against the police, and I understand. Like I myself, like I'm wary of police, obviously. Like I get it, okay, but at the same time, I do believe that in a society they do serve a function. It's when they overstep those bounds, it's an issue, okay, and they overstep the bounds a lot. I get it, okay, but to be someone where they're completely against people owning guns and completely against any form of police at all, and then needing the police, and the police actually came and sadly, tragically shot that guy and killed him. Okay. What leg does Hunter Avallone have to stand on to be against any of that stuff? Because what is he going to say now? Well, that guy got a gun because guns are illegal. And it's like, well, if anybody wants a gun bad enough, they're going to get a gun. Okay. But he didn't have a gun to protect himself, or, he's supposed to defund the police, but he was crying for the police to come save them.
Well, there's a logical conclusion here is that the state is essentially the only entity that's allowed to legally use violence for any reason at all. Any civilian, anyone else that uses violence to solve something outside of, like, sports, it's illegal, and it's essentially a felony in almost every case. So essentially, when someone calls the police, that is the most legal version of being violent as you could be with somebody. So
it is violent. Don't get, like, people have to fucking realize that too. Like, if your neighbor's being fucking loud, like, I get it, it's fucking annoying. Or like, if you see someone that's having like a mental health like break or something, like, I've known people that have had like autistic kids that, like, cops show up and the autistic kid is having like a fucking they get fucking killed by the cops. Like, that fucking happens. So like, I'm not saying don't call the cops, but I'm saying, like, have a good fucking reason to call the cops, because a lot of times, anytime you introduce the fucking police, there's a good goddamn chance. Like, I'm not saying there's a good chance that somebody's going to die, but there's a way fucking bigger chance, because
they're allowed to. The difference is they're allowed to kill somebody if it's justifiable. And there's a very lower barrier for you.
And all that it takes to be justifiable, I feared for my life. Yeah, that retard charged me.
And they got a lot of their police training from Israel in the major cities. Let's be real.
He drooled on me.
Yeah. That is assault, actually, by modern definitions.
That is true.
Drooling on a cop would be assault.
You never know if a person actually has some sort of bloodborne disease, or might be eating peanuts at the time and you have a peanut allergy, and their saliva has some
now he's attacking you with a deadly weapon. Yeah,
exactly.
Dude.
Yes. But I mean, like, there's a fine line, right? Like, I'm not, again, like, I don't trust the cops, but I do believe that they should exist, but it's like, where's the line? And you're always going to have with police, just like with the medical conventional medical system. Now, I'm a Christian natural health practitioner. I run Fix Your Gut. I've been doing it for more than 10 years, coaching people with digestive problems and other health issues. Okay. But like, hospitals exist for a reason. Okay. Like, when it comes to trauma-based medicine, for example, if I get a severe car accident and I'm bleeding off the side of the road, natural medicine's not going to save my life. Okay. Now, if you practice conventional medicine,
it's the big dandelions.
Then maybe they might stop the blood. Maybe. But but the thing is like, yes, there are issues like with conventional medicine as far as the medications they might give me. I'm not excusing conventional medicine here, but it does exist for a purpose, which is trauma-based medicine and maybe diagnostic-based medicine. The track record for cancer and chronic-based health conditions are very poor at best. Okay. So it's the same for the police, or it's the same for a fire department. That's why I'm not a libertarian. I'm not trying to come against you, Nate, or anything. I just think that they should exist. Okay. Now, whether or not that they should be funded by the state or the local municipalities or whatever, that's a whole nother discussion. Okay. Like, how big should the federal government be? And I believe, even as a Christian conservative, the federal government is way too big. It's way too big. It's way too bloated and way too big. Okay. So, it's kind of, because then I always, wonder if libertarianism won, you would get Milei, and how much Javier Milei really does obviously love Israel. They're his greatest ally. Okay. And you have kind of like the libertarian economists, Nate, that a lot of them were also Jewish.
Now you're talking about my heroes, yeah. My Murray Rothbard. Don't ruin my Murray Rothbard for me.
And let's say on Rand, she had she would get excited over the serial killer Hickman, right? She would get a little Hickman was her Ubermensch, right? Just saying, like, Hickman strangled girls to death, and that kind of made on Ron a little bit too happy.
Dude, she was just in the choking.
Connection. Dude, she was such a dirty pervert, dude. If you've read any of her books, like, she had like straight up rape fantasies, and like she was a dirty bitch. Like, I mean, I think maybe that was just her kink. Like, she would have been into kink.com nowadays. Like, I just thought about her just getting finger blisters from finger blasting herself, like, as she's writing those horrible fucking, like, she was such.
But she was Russian Jewish. She was Mountain Jew. She was a Mountain Jew. And so, that's my issue, I guess, and I used to be a libertarian, like I did used to be. And I don't really think there's no perfect system of government for anyone, because it just will never happen. Like you and I, Nate, we could talk about this for, I don't know, 1,000 hours, right? But in the end of the day, what are the elite going to do? Now, I will say this. You are likely going to get, an anarcho-capitalist world in the coming world order of love and light. I've covered it. Days of Noah's covered it. But
it's not going to be the ANCAP world we want. It's going to be a fucking. It's not going to be an ANCAP world. It's just going to be.
It won't be real ANCAP.
No, it'll be transhumanist.
Anarcho-capitalism.
It'll be a transhumanist anarcho-capitalist world, i.e., Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash, which Mike Cernovich, just like his love of Ayn Rand, used to get very excited over. Okay, so I mean.
Okay, that was the connection. That's what I was trying to remember, because I remember that because I had fucking wrote a whole thing about it, and then I didn't even fucking talk about it really. When we talked to Isaac, when we were talking about like satanic capitalism, we were talking about but specifically Ayn Rand. She had a connection as far as like Thomas. Guy that Anton LaVey. Anton LaVey was obsessed with Ayn Rand and basically wrote the Satanic Bible, basically about like Atlas Shrugged, like in the entire philosophy of God damn it, what is her philosophy? What are they called? The objectivists.
Randian objectivism.
Right, objectivism basically is Satanism. Like it's literally just it's copy and pasted. And she was a not a theosophist, but she was kind of in that, and she loved God damn it, oh man, she had a connection with not Alice Bailey, but she had a connection with oh man, I can't remember, but like it was pretty fucking interesting. And so Ayn Rand was definitely tied into that kind of fucking weird world too, dude. It's pretty fucking interesting. When you start looking under rocks, you see shit you don't want to see.
Yeah, it's like the what they call the ANCAP technocracy that we're going to have in the future coming up here, where I'm like, and they're literally like against Luddites, it's like, because they keep all evolution is good evolution, right? All progress is good progress. And you're like,
everything's good for Bitcoin.
Yeah, this is coming out of an anarcho-capitalist mouth where they're talking about droning people. But all progress is good progress? Okay.
Yeah, dude. But like the version of like transhuman pedophile, like fucking Ancapistan, like you're literally going to be able to use like your social credit to like buy like a child fucking tranny hooker and stuff like that and have them delivered to your weird pod that you live in, your 1-bedroom pod. And then you guys can like scarf bugs together and butt fuck. Like that's the world that they fucking want to have. Like
that's coming. That's common.
I see Thomas just chubbed up a little.
a little bit. But I'm just thinking, I mean, there's just a lot of cleanup there. Why couldn't that all just be like virtualized and serve the same ends?
Well, see, if you have enough social, like if you have enough money, they still want the real thing. Yeah, I guess for us, you have to have your child tranny hooker with VR. Like probably
we haven't earned enough social credit to have the real thing.
You can't have the real thing.
That's how it's gonna be.
You got to earn that right.
They're telling you that's how it's gonna be. They're literally like, if you read the Techno Optimist manifesto by Mark Anderson, that's literally what he's saying, and I'm like, well, no, I don't. No, I don't want that. I don't want the beast system. I don't want to, take a mark where again, I'll say this. I'll raise this to you, Nate. There's a thin line between libertarianism and libertinism. Absolutely, and libertinism dude. Leads you to Roger Stone.
Well, see, that was a big split with like the right wing fucking radical kind of libertarian people and then the Libertarian Party, and they kind of fucking split because there are basically just like they're like weird libertine kind of Democrats that are kind of more like economically not less retarded, right? So they kind of understand like economics a little bit, but they still like they want to butt fuck and get like and get jabbed all the time. You know what I mean? They're basically Democrats that are not. Anyways, like that is basically the Libertarian Party at this point, and whole cloth of like 80% of the Libertarians. Like they're furries, they're weirdos, they're pedophiles, they're fucking freaks. Like there are those people that will like talk about like complete autonomy for like people, and so they'll say like everybody should have those rights and things like that. Therefore, like kids should also have the right to say yes to sex and stuff. And you're like, wait, what? Yeah. And then you're like, when you start having conversations with those people, like they start saying like, well, I mean, if they're just humans too, and every human should be able to consent to things, and that's what everything's about is consent. So, you know, they should be like those type of yes, there is a huge chunk of fucking fringe weirdos in the libertarian movement. They call themselves libertarians, but yes, I know exactly what the fuck you're saying. There are just some people that want to fucking be left alone.
Oh, of course, yes.
And those are the guys. Like, I don't even call myself really a libertarian anymore because of the goofballs, because of that whole fucking thing. Like, I kind of don't even call myself an anarchist anymore because hierarchies are basically natural, and I think that they're probably a good. Like, I've embraced hierarchy at this point. I'm just like some sort of like right-wing nut job at this point. I don't know what the fuck I am.
There has to be some semblance of government and order. We'll just say that
you need structure, or you need structure, order, and authority. Those
to some degree, yes. To some degree, yes. The ratios we can debate about. All right, but it's
like I'm not an authoritarian. Like I don't like. I want to have a minimalist authoritarian structure, but like I mean, like honestly, kind of almost like tell me there's nothing wrong with Hoppe. Is Hoppe part of the fucking?
I don't know much about Hoppe to comment on him.
Hoppe is a fucking pretty awesome guy, and like his whole idea of just like radical communities that you know, like that they're like self-governing, self-structured authority, like groups, and like so there is rules. Like, it's not no rules. It's like no rulers and that sort of thing. I don't fucking know, dude. But I like Hoppe a lot.
I can't quote on Hoppe, so I can't.
I don't even know who this is.
Hans Hermann Hoppe. He's a philosopher. He's pretty amazing.
Is he American?
He's German.
Then I don't care.
Well, he moved here and lived here since the 70s, but he has a thick-ass accent. He's hard to understand.
I will say Ron Paul was the biggest letdown of libertarianism. So,
you know who was more of a letdown was Rand.
Rand Paul, yeah. Well, Ron Paul, I mean, again, like Freemason.
Was Ron Paul a Freemason?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes. Mm-hmm. His daughters were Job daughters.
No,
and his wife was Order of the Eastern Star.
Yeah, I dated a girl that was in the Eastern Star, and I didn't even know what the fuck it was. And she was like telling me about it. I was like, "Oh, all right. You want to have sex?"
Council for National Policy member Ron Paul as well too, right? And then, I mean, it's again none of them. Like I identify with a lot of things Thomas Massey says, right? But you know, John Birch Society member, 60th anniversary John Birch Society keynote speaker. You know, and then when he talks about destroying the opium fields in Afghanistan by dumping glyphosate everywhere and poisoning the Afghani people, I'm like, what are you talking about? You're a farmer. No, it's stupid. You know, it's stuff like that makes me upset. So,
yeah.
What's the John? Where are you at on the John Birch Society?
Not a fan. Not a fan.
What are the major cons of John Birch Society?
It's funded by Rockefeller money, right? Initially, so it was the Council for National Policy. Yeah, Eustace Mullins, who was a former John Birch Society member, did a lot. You know, said that Welsh had his candy company bought by Rockefeller. Okay, and then you know, I'm not necessarily against like Welsh. Some of the things. I mean, I will say this: Welsh's neighbor was Henry Kissinger. And Welsh had a lot of good things to say about his neighbor, but also a lot of bad, like good things to say in private, bad things in his private letters that got released, and kind of like bad things openly, you know? So like that's concerning. And then like he knew about Zionism, but wouldn't talk about Zion. Like in his private letters, he talks about it and how people like Kissinger are telling him not to talk about Zionism. But he knows that, you know, Zionism is an issue, but he doesn't publicly talk about it. Excuse me, you know, so Welsh, I'm like, he's probably a limited hangout, but like to what degree? But then he was replaced by the Jesuit John F. McManus, who used to go on Alex Jones' show a lot, you know? And so the Birchers, they're like not as strong as the Council for National Policy, which is like the right-wing CFR version, right? And then Lost Arkell is like the right wing's Bilderberg that we even know less of. Okay. But the Birchers, like there's a lot of well-meaning Bircher people, okay, that are Christian and they love America and they don't know anything really about the ills of the John Birch Society and people that have been involved in the John Birch Society and everything. They don't know. They have no idea. You know, Josh Reeves actually, his Cigarette Volume 1 and Cigarette Volume 2 documentaries go a lot into the John Birch Society and the issues with it and the issues with the Council for National Policy. And so, you know, it's like, it's just the higher ups that were like, there was a fake war between William F. Buckley Jr. and the John Birch Society and Welsh to kind of like legitimize the John Birch Society, because Buckley Skull and Bones was definitely not our guy, you know. And then Welsh, like, again, he said a lot of true things, but he left a lot of out. And in his private dialogue, he knew these things were true that he was leaving out. It wasn't like he didn't know, you know. So
I mean, it sounds like controlled opposition because John Birch Society, I'm pretty sure they've had some articles that they wrote against the Rockefellers. But if it was a Rockefeller publication to begin with, this is just sort of controlled op, right?
Well, the Hunt family's crooked as they come. You know, you have, you know, the Hunts being involved in the formation of football and sports betting and the assassination of JFK, you know, and the allegations of the Hunt family being involved. I mean, Hunt family were big financiers and starters of the John Birch Society and the Council for National Policy. And oh, there was something about the Hunts, hold on, that had to do with the Rockefellers and had to deal with the John Birch Society. Oh, I can't remember. I forgot where I was going to go with that. I'm sorry. But there was, I guess I can add this. Jones actually praised the Hunt family. He still does to this day and says they're true Americans and they're white hats pretty much. But Bill Cooper did too. Bill Cooper actually wrote in Behold a Pale Horse that the Hunt family were actually good. When the Hunt family were involved, like I said, JFK assassination, the funding of Al-Qaeda happened because remember when the Hunts shorted the silver market in the 80s, the early 80s, and the government went to seize that silver to pay back the people that they had, you know, that had lost their money through the manipulation of the market. And they loaded supposedly the silver onto 2 C-130s and flew them to a bank in Switzerland and called the Altiqua Bank, which was later the bank that was used to fund Al-Qaeda. Okay. Now I understand Al-Qaeda is a CIA op, obviously. Okay. But the CNP was, you know, very much involved in the funding and the formation from that. So the Hunt family, they're not our guys, you know, they're corrupted to the core, you know, but you know, you have people in conspiracy culture, you know, like the John Birch Society parroting them and you know, Alex Jones praising them, even Bill Cooper praising them. Now with Bill Cooper, I'm kind of on the fence because I have a lot of questions with Bill Cooper. Okay. But I also believe that Bill Cooper told a lot of the truth that Alex Jones didn't. But there's still things like that where if you Behold a Pale Horse and he's praising, you know, the Hunt family, and you're like, well, that's odd. Now, Behold the Pale Horse was written, you know, if I remember correctly, the late 80s, early 90s, right? So it had been a while, you know, but like, I don't know. It was interesting because there was a previous clip that came up. You guys remember when Bill Cooper, you know, caught out 9/11 is being set up by, you know, they're going to set up bin Laden and Mossad was going to be involved, you know, before 9/11 happened, that famous clip, you know? Well, I actually had missed it. I don't know how many times. But Cooper actually says that 9/11 will be started the great awakening of the masses in the United States of America. And when I heard him say that, I went, wait, what? Because that plays into exactly what's going on today with the Great Reset versus the phony Great Awakening, right? Like he knew, but he was saying it was a good thing. That's the thing, is he was like, this is when we take the country back. And I'm like, oh no, really, Bill? Really?
Yeah, dude. Well, Bill definitely called 9/11 for sure. But it's also fucking interesting because like you're saying, dude, like I liked it. I really was a huge fan of Bill Cooper's.
Me too. My dad was as well. My dad hated Alex Jones, but loved Bill Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, but I am suspicious as fuck of him, to be honest, man. He was a pretty my buddy Adam let me borrow a fucking book, which I'm only halfway through reading it, and he asked for it back, so I need to go give him that book back. But it's a book about William Cooper.
Yeah, the autobiography on him. Well, what is it called? It's an excellent
Pale
book.
Horse Rider.
The horse rider, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and dude, it's pretty fucking interesting, dude. And then if you see like William Cooper's daughter now, dude, she's like in and out of fucking prison, and she's like a fucking drug addict, and like, dude,
that's
like,
sad.
and she
that's
talks about the
sad.
abuse that she like took from her father because I guess he was like a fucking real violent fucking alcoholic. They used to beat the shit out of him and stuff.
Yeah,
like, I don't know, dude. Like it sucks because man, it's like don't meet your heroes and don't look under rocks because all of a sudden like yeah, dude, it's kind of a fucking bummer. Because I was fucking simping hard for fucking William Cooper
me too.
for a minute. Because like I found his old podcast of the Mystery Babylon series, and I was like,
great series.
Up, and I was like,
great series.
Yeah. I mean, I can't stand his commercial breaks talking about gold. Like he'll fucking take like 20 minutes trying to sell you fucking, and this is the real deal, folks.
But if you had bought gold in the late 90s and you were talking now.
Hold on. Do you guys remember who I found out recently? It was something that jogged a memory in me. I have to look at it. The guy that Alex Jones, remember Alex Jones did the infamous, the Y2K, the nukes in Russia are going off because of the faulty hardware. I recently came across actually who he was on with at that day. Let me see if I can find, because recently he's like, well, I said that because the sponsors pushed me to do it. I'm like, really, Jones? Really? That's your argument for it? Was the sponsors made you do it to push, My Patriot Supply type stuff? When in reality, like, if the world's quote coming to an end because nuclear holocaust, how are you going to even get to? How are they even going to sell the stuff and let alone deliver it? This doesn't make any sense. But
all you need is my male vitality. It'll make your cock real big when the Russians nuke us.
Trying to find it, who it was. I might not be able to find it in time, but it was an interesting connection because I never knew that was who he was with at the time on air with. Let's see if I can find it.
It's fucking interesting, dude. I mean, like you're talking about how the fucking goddamn it, what the fuck are they called? Come on, Thomas. Tell me who am I talking about? The John Birch Society.
Like no context.
Like how the Birchers are like, because like they were super anti-communist and they were like they were kind of like your white right wing like normal white guy was allowed to be a conspiracy theorist because he was like that's the upright like those are like the conservative guys that were conspiracy theorists, right? Like the John Birchers. Like you felt like a good American.
And Jones's dad was in the John Birch Society. If he's not Bill Hicks,
sure,
he was the dentist, right? So if he's not Bill Hicks and he was the dentist, his dad was a Bircher.
Yeah, yeah, I fucking believe it, dude, 100%. But like how you said that he knew about Zionism and wouldn't fucking touch it, and I feel like that's like the fucking big thing with any big mainstream like that. I honestly think that separates me. Like that to me tells you, are you legit or not? Are you willing to talk about fucking Zionism or are you not? Like, because Alex Jones won't fucking touch it with a 10-foot pole.
No, unless he's forced to. Then he'll briefly.
But even then, He'd be like, well, I mean, I just want to, suck off BB just a little bit. Like he just will not. Like, dude, he fucking loves it.
No, he does. And you actually you jogged my memory about what it was, Nate. So you guys know who Gary Allen is? None Carl Treason, None Carl the Conspiracy, right? The famous author for that.
Yeah.
He was a Job Birch Society member. He was actually a mentor and advisor to Nelson Bunker Hunt. And he gave a speech about Fabian socialism, right? And in that speech, he gives a wink and a nod to everybody that he's actually a Fabian socialist because he uses the term. Now, most people who use it, you'll hear a lot of people say it, and they're not a Fabian socialist, okay? But Gary Allen ain't your average person, okay? He goes, I'm against Fabianism, but I'm a classical liberal. That's a code word for weak, nodge. I'm a Fabian socialist. That's what that means. What the terminology means when you really dive into it, you look at it. All right. And Gary, again, like, what did they expose? What did None Dare Call It Treason and None Dare Call It Conspiracy really expose, right? Did it talk about Zionism? No. No. It was a communist conspiracy. Now, look, I'm not a fan of communism, obviously, but if we're going to talk about the USSR, majority of the Bolsheviks were Jewish.
100%, dude. Yeah, it's fucking interesting, dude. I mean, because to me, communism has been this thing that they've used to scare your average right winger. Like, communism has been this boogeyman that they've used to, like, get. I mean, because especially like during the fucking 80s, the 70s, 80s, like during the Cold War, that was something that would like rally everyone together. Well, holy shit, we're afraid of fucking Russia, like the whole nuclear scare. Like, communism is a goddamn joke, first of all. No one's actually a fucking communist. Like, even communist fucking countries, none of those leaders were fucking communists. They loved power and authority, and you know what I mean? They were fucking right-wing. They were right-wing authoritarians. If you look at fucking Stalin, he ruled like a fucking right-wing authoritarian. And he was in on that, dude. Like, the USSR was the reason why they fucking fell is when the banks basically stopped funding them. Like, the U.S., like, we needed that fucking boogeyman. Like, they were the Al-Qaeda before Al-Qaeda. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny to me, like, because the real fucking enemy has been in our house the whole time.
And which still is
the Zionists. They're in our fucking Congress right now. You can see, like, there's Congress people that, like, he was like literally who was the guy that was like wearing an IDF outfit and was wearing an Israeli flag?
I know who you're talking about. I saw it, but I can't. I know it did happen though. Yes.
Like, who could fucking do that, dude? Like, what if like one of our congressmen was just happened to be a dual citizen of Russia and he was waving a Russian flag? What would happen? He'd be fucking, first of all, he'd be arrested, or like he'd be like killed or something. I don't know. Like, people would fucking drag him out. Like, but if you do it with Israel, and if someone has a problem with it, you're an anti-Semite. You can't fucking talk about that. And like, we can't talk about like half of our like senators and congressmen are fucking dual citizens with Israel. You can't fucking talk about that.
No.
Huh. It's making Thomas uncomfortable. I see him back there.
Yeah, it's one that I haven't really jumped fully on board on.
Thomas is also a dual citizen. I see some curls in his beard. He tucks back his fucking.
Before he goes into his Freemasonic lodge hall, he takes off his kippa because they can't know.
Yeah,
that's only the York right that you have to hide it.
I mean, I think the current world order is a combination of powerful Zionists, Jesuits, and Freemasons. Pretty much.
Oh, dude, someone just called you out, Thomas.
And you could throw in the Swiss Templars as well too, right? You know, but I mean, one final thing is, many years ago, I used to be a white nationalist, and I used to hear consume a lot of white nationalist media, David Duke, a lot of it through Jeff Rentz, right? Because you go from Jones to Rentz, if you're really getting, getting greasy, as they would say in Trailer Park Boys, you're in the back alleys of conspiracy theories, And so I remember, listening to all those guys, and then coming out of it and learning about something that I never heard them ever mention. That's the thing. What I'm saying is I've never heard any of the white nationalists ever mention the Mountain Jews, which were maybe the true Khazarians, possibly, maybe. I've read scholarly research on that. And they're kind of like Russian, Jews. I mean, they're pretty much from the Caucasus Mountain region initially. The Book of Esther may have been about them, possibly, maybe, in the Bible. And most of the powerful Russian oligarchs, the Russian Jewish oligarchs, should I say, are Mountain Jews. And so everybody talks about the Ashkenazis. Everybody talks about, the Sephardic Jews or the Ethiopian Jews. But I've never heard anybody talk about the Mountain Jews. And so when I came across, and how I came across them was because Josh Reeves was talking about that there was this weird battle between Vladislav Doronin, who was a big part of the Epstein nexus. He dated Naomi Campbell. Joe Rogan said that Dave Chappelle took him to an eyes wide shut party, which is a pedophile party, at Vladislav Doronin's house. Okay, if you look at Vladislav Doronin's properties, they're very esoteric and weird looking, anyway, the mob boss that he had a fight with, they literally had a shootout with Russian UFC fighters in Russia. Okay, at like this, like tall building. Okay, where Vladislav Doronin's office was at. And the guy that had a fight with, his name was Abramovic, Roman Abramovic. Okay. So I started doing research on it because who's Roman Abramovic? And it came across, he's vice president of the World Council of the Mountain Jews. And I remember going, what's a Mountain Jew? Huh? What? And then I started researching and I was like, oh.
Are you sure it wasn't Mountain Dew?
That's actually a joke a lot of people say. And then they do the Mountain Jews logo with Mountain Dew.
I've never heard of this either, but yeah, I am a hack.
And so like that was what was crazy about the whole thing is I remember listening to David Duke, Don Black, like all of like the main white nationalists, and they would talk about Zionism, which I'm an anti-Zionist, obviously, but they would be like they're the foremost authorities on anti-Zionism, right? But I never one time ever heard them talk about the Mountain Jews. They talk about the Ashkenazis a lot, but never the Mountain Jews. Never. But they always also were very pro-Russian too, And so I was like, okay, this is really, really weird. And then when I learned about the CMP, you'd also see like the Regnery family that fund Richard Spencer. They would sit at the table at the CMP meetings with like ardent Zionist families. And you're like, okay, so the white nationalists and the Zionists, are they just like some sort of like strange bedfellow? Because Israel and the Zionists, use white nationalism as a way of kind of like to scare people and to rally up support, right? And look, I'm not saying there aren't people that genuinely hate Jewish people. I don't hate anybody, but there are, but they kind of use them as like a controlled boogeyman. Okay, a lot of the platformed white supremacists, like David Duke, for example. Okay, they're like the ADL's, buddy in a lot of ways. They claim they hate the ADL, but the ADL uses them, And so there's kind of like this strange bedfellows between white nationalism and ardent Zion, which I mean, Bill Cooper actually did kind of expose with the B'nai B'rith and the Catholic Church and the Zionists, right? Like he kind of, his expose in the B'nai B'rith kind of spells all this out, that, white nationalists And Zionists are kind of really strange bedfellows at the highest levels. Like they
are,
care.
dude. I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, if you want to fucking get down in the nitty gritty, the Israeli government and Hamas are kind of strange bedfellows.
That's true. Yeah.
Like Israel has always kind of been, and in the same way, the United States has always been a weird, strange bedfellows with our opposition. Right, like it's one of those things where, like, I had heard this specifically about Canada, that there's like basically, you know, a bunch of like Zionist Jews in Canada that were looking for government funding for like anti-Semitic like groups. Like basically, they were like saying like, "Hey, anti-Semitism is so terrible. Like, help us fund our anti-Semitism cause." Right, but there wasn't enough. There wasn't. They didn't have enough fucking anti-Semitism. And so they literally started like hate groups. And then they fucking kind of started taking off. And they created the Nazi problem that's in Canada. That actually it was like Jewish groups that were looking for government funding for their fucking cause that caused a fucking Nazi group, like a whole movement, and like a right-wing Nazi movement in Canada. And it's fucking funny, dude, because like, yeah, there is that, like, you need to have an enemy in order for people to have like your back, and for people
you need it for fundraising. You need it for fundraising.
Exactly, dude. And like that's kind of like what Hamas was, dude. There was a group of fucking radical psychos, and like there's literally a video of Bibi Netanyahu saying that like we need Hamas to be in charge of the Palestinians, because they are so radical and so fucking crazy that no one in the world stage will ever take them seriously as a government. And so then no one will make us like sit down at the table and have an actual two-state solution, because look at big scary Hamas, right?
Yeah.
And so they wanted Hamas in power, and so they've been funding them fucking secretly and kind of fucking helping them. And they were actually like defunding and like taking money away from the PLO and like all this fucking radical shit, because they wanted Hamas to be in charge.
Yeah.
It is fucking interesting, dude. I mean, it's brilliant too. Like, I can't hate their hustle. I mean, but like, if that's
it is brilliant.
True, if it's true, though, I mean, Bibi Netanyahu has a lot to fucking answer for all those people that fucking died at that concert, because he probably fucking knew that shit was going to happen. I mean, he was looking for, like, they literally are calling this Israel's 9/11.
Well, he probably did it to save himself because he was on the out.
And, I mean, he's also, they're honestly saying, like, this was the worst thing that has happened to the Jews since the Holocaust. And trademark. And like, you know what I mean? And that's just like, that's their fucking, like, they're going to use this and ride this one like fucking crazy. They want this to be the biggest fucking, but I don't think they're trying to like make fetch happen, but nobody gives a fuck. Like, I swear to God, the majority of people are just like that. Like, there's like, they have like sympathy, like that sucks. But then they're also like, okay, so now you're just going to go and exterminate a bunch of fucking women and children and like civilians in a fucking like open air prison you have because that happened. And they're like, are you anti-Semitic? You love Hamas? You're like, no, that's a child you just shot in the face. You're an anti-Semite. It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but
well, I mean, you have Israel arming Azerbaijan versus Armenia right now. Armenia was one of the first. Dude. Armenia was one of the first Christian nations.
If you need big scary bad guys that hate you, so then you can be like, America, come and give me some shekels. I need to defend myself. I need my Iron Dome money. And you know what I mean? They fucking.
But like, Azerbaijan's primarily Muslim. It's like, I don't know. You're right.
Wild, buddy.
It is.
But again, I mean, they're brilliant, and I can't hate their hustle, dude. They're fucking taking billions. They're just fucking giggling and taking home billions.
Well, so is Zelensky.
Yeah. Another fucking Kazakh Jew.
The money laundering from FTX, right? To Zelensky, right?
Fucking A, buddy. I love those.
Do you guys think the promised land is real?
What do you mean?
Like, do you think that there's like an actual area designated, like the Mesopotamia, Middle East, and Jerusalem?
I believe at one time the true Israelites did go to the promised land. Yeah, I do believe that.
When you say promised land, is that like colloquialism, or is that like a actual promised land?
No, God promised that He would deliver them. Yeah, I believe it's. Yeah, I believe it's accurate. Yes.
So wouldn't that portion of land be worth fighting over if it truly was like blessed by the big G himself?
I mean, at that time, yes, but now we're talking about now where the Jews' hearts are far from God. You know, they're partially blinded right now, as Paul wrote. You know, I mean, right now, I mean, just as the Israelites in the Old Testament, when their hearts strayed from God, right? They were cursed by God, right? They were blessed by God when they followed Him and obeyed Him, but when they did not, they were cursed by Him too. Well, right now, you know, the Jewish people don't believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, right? So they are, I mean, like, I believe that Mystery Babylon is Jerusalem. So the Antichrist will go into the third temple and declare himself to be God, and then they'll then it will be destroyed. Like, Jerusalem will eventually be destroyed by God. It will get 2 cups of God's wrath poured upon them for the wickedness, and in doing so, I do believe that will open the eyes of many Jewish people, you know, that have been betrayed by the Antichrist, that Jesus Christ was the true Messiah that they had persecuted. You know, and so that's God, you know, I mean, as the just judge and the righteous king, you know, he has to, you know, Jerusalem will be destroyed because of its wickedness. You know, I mean, it is what it is. I don't believe that it's Rome. I don't believe it's Rome. I certainly don't believe it's New York City. You know, as being Mystery Babylon. So, you know, the Jewish people fighting over Israel right now, you know, there's multiple ways of looking at it. You know, that they're Khazarians, they're not the true Jews, so they don't have any rights to that land at all. That Christians actually is heir. Now, I don't necessarily agree with this per se completely, but it would be what they call the replacement theology belief of looking at it. In that Christians are actually the heirs because we're spiritual Israel now. But you know,
that's basically where I line up.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends.
Is there something special about it though? Like, do you like move there, and if it's like the right time, like you can fly or something? Like, what's the? Do you get like extra saved if you just happen to be in the Holy Land at some point?
No.
Like, what is the point of fighting over it at all?
There is it personally. I mean, I guess you're asking this to John, so.
I mean, they would
like sure. Let's say it's the Christians' land, okay, but like, what? How do you like move there? And you like, is there some perk of
at one
being
time
there,
we did occupy? At one time we did occupy it. It's just the land of. It's like the land where. You know, the biblical Israelites, there's nothing special with having the land. It's not like it grants you anything. But, you know, if your Messiah lived and died on that land, and if, you know, the Israelites, the true Israelites, like there's history with that land, right? It's like America. You know, we're American, right? But there's nothing special about the land of America just being born here.
Right, but no one's like killing each other over to like who gets to live where the Mayflower landed.
Maybe eventually soon we have the second American Civil War over Trump, possibly. I don't know.
But I still don't think they're going to fight over.
I mean, we had Manifest Destiny, right?
This is where Donald Trump cream pied. What's that lady?
or I guess where Donald Trump and Epstein molested Katie Johnson. You know that you know. I mean, I understand what you're saying. but it could also be set up for biblical prophecy too, right? So I'm not a hyper dispensationalist, obviously.
But is there any biblical prophecy that's like you have to be in this geographical area when this happens, or
some
else?
people? It depends who you ask. Dispensationalists, yes. Replacement theologists, no.
So, I mean, as far as I know, because I was raised dispensationalist as fuck, dude. That's how I was. My mom.
Because there's hyper dispensationalists and there's dispensationalists, right? Just like there's hyper replacement theologists.
Of Israel around her neck at all times that has verses on it. Talking like my mom's a fucking nut, dude. Like hardcore Zionist to the fucking
pre-tribulation rapture believer.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Goes with dispensationalism.
So, yeah. But anyways, but like their whole thoughts on this are basically that like the entire world is going to start persecuting Israel. First, I'm trying to remember like the timeline because basically the whole world is going to start persecuting Israel. Like the entire world is going to go to war with Israel. You know what's funny, dude? Because I've talked to some Orthodox Christians that like agree with this, and they think that but they're on board. Because I've talked to like a couple like Russian Orthodox guys, like guys from like Russian Orthodox guys, not my Ortho bros, not my American Ortho bros. I've never heard them say this, but like the real Russian Orthodox brothers have talked to me and said they're like, no, Israel's evil, and when that time comes, like Russia is going to attack Israel and it's going to be good. And like we're going
that would make them
I was
that would make them Magog and Rus in the Bible if that's the case. So I'm just saying,
no, I mean they're ready. And they said they're super serious that the Russian Orthodox
Church. That's Duginism. That's Duginism in action right there. That's Duginism in action right there, brother. That's all I gotta say about that. So.
Well, it worked because they're ready. I was talking to this guy, he's like, I've got my rifle ready. I'm like, okay.
and I will say this. If we're seeing biblical prophecy unfold and the dispensationalists are correct to some degree, we might see Ukraine fall to Putin, the war in the Middle East intensify, and then Putin and Russia will start heading towards Israel.
Who's going to be the Antichrist?
My over under bets are in is Donald Trump, Elon Musk is the false prophet.
Dude, you might be pretty close. I mean, unless Alex Jones is the false prophet.
Can it not be AI? Can AI be the Antichrist?
No, I don't think so. I think that's kind of because me and my friend Billy Ray Valentine argue about that all the time, and there is the Antichrist does have the image of the beast, which the Bible does kind of allude it to being AI, which is separate from the Antichrist itself. So I believe the Antichrist is a person that becomes possessed by Satan, right? And then you have the false prophet, which kind of because the world doesn't, again, most people have their ideas of the Antichrist based off of Tim LaHaye's CMP Left Behind series. Okay. It's a bunch of garbage. All right. It's like, it's not even biblical. All right. And so like the world doesn't fall in love with the Antichrist until after he's resurrected.
Kirk Cameron. He's so dreamy.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they fall in love with. Or you have the Nicolas Cage version. I don't know. But anyway, when the Antichrist gets a mortal head wound and then gets resurrected, right? That's when the world falls in love with the Antichrist. It isn't actually up until then, okay? And so my guess is, and I'm theorizing here, I'm not saying thus saith the Lord. I think it might be possible that the Antichrist, maybe Trump, they get a head wound and then they get a Neuralink put into them.
He dies and fucking comes back via Neuralink.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I'm on board because it specifically says that the Antichrist is going to be assassinated. He's going to be fucking. I mean, at least that's what I was taught.
Yes, he gets him. Yes, he gets him. It's in the Bible.
He gets murdered, and then he does a fake Christ. He pulls a like Jesus like this, and he comes back and gets resurrected. But like, you're absolutely right. This
is JFK. We're talking of JFK Jr. No, he's going to come back and as like a new Christ.
Maybe, but I mean, it would have to have been on the third day, buddy. Like he should have pulled it. Like he waited too long for the reveal.
For the Antichrist, it's instantly almost, or within a certain time period. It's not within 3 days. And then the
then
world's
he's
like,
going to defile. He's going to come back, and this is when his evil is going to be exposed. So he's supposed to be like a peacemaker. He's supposed to be like actually bring peace to the Middle East. People are going to think that he's Christ. They're going to think he's the Messiah. People are going to be screaming peace, peace, peace. He's going to be like, I've heard NATO talk about this because they do that great incantation where they talk about the cosmic Christ,
the great invocation.
Yeah, the Great Invocation. That's right, Invocation, where they're talking about the cosmic Christ.
Yeah,
and it is really fucking fascinating, man. I don't know who they're going to try to pull it off, but Elon Musk would be pretty interesting. I think Donald Trump would be the ideal candidate because I think he'll be there. And they've already talked about him and his Jerusalem Accords and getting close to bringing peace to the Middle East. And Jared Kushner is a fat fucking Zionist, and so is all of his fucking right-wing weird entourage.
But he's going to turn on him. Because the weird thing about Trump is he, from one mouth, he praises him, but the other mouth, he's like, you could tell he does not like them. It's the weird, like, have you seen where he was like just going off on Bibi, just completely like, oh, he's, you know, just telling the truth about him, you know, and then later they had to rein him in and he stopped, right? And then he was like, oh, I love Israel, I love Zionism, I love Bibi, you know, and so he's got this double speak where at times he'll say the Zionist language.
Well, right? Because every single person can get what they want out of Trump.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All of them, dude. Yeah, they get the soundbite that they want. Yeah.
Very Antichrist-like. If he's not the Antichrist, he is a Antichrist. I will definitely say that.
Wouldn't it be funny if Alex Jones was his fucking prophet?
Maybe. You might not be wrong. You might not be wrong.
Oh, no, we are the globalists.
He said that. Alex Jones has said that before, literally.
Yeah, buddy. I agree with you. My wife is going to kill me. I got to get going, boys. Let's throw some plugs. John, tell everybody we love you, buddy. Tell everybody about yourself. You know, where can we find you? What's the best place to support you?
Yeah, you can find me. We've read the documents on Odyssey. I've been kicked off of YouTube. I have some backup channels on YouTube, but how long they're going to be up, I don't know. But you can find me. We've read the documents on Patreon, on Substack, and we've_read on Twitter, and we've_read on Gorf Social. That's where you guys can find me. Until eventually, I guess the internet, in the cards of this next year, some cyber attack that's going to take down everything. That's what they tell me. So I don't know.
The big solar flare. Yeah.
Whatever the big solar flare, the cyber attack, I guess we have a Civil War movie where I guess we even discussed that, where Nick Offerman, Ron Swanson is playing the Trump-like president, and the United States is coming against him, and somehow Texas and California form an alliance with Florida against the conservative president that's obviously Trump. It's like, okay, like this, come on. What weak sauce is this? When in the world would Florida, California, and Texas come together? That's silly. So
that would be an interesting band of misfits.
Well, if we're talking about Broward County,
or Miami.
Well, same difference.
True. Yeah.
I mean, I know it's Dade, but it's like same difference.
That is true.
Thomas, what are you plugging tonight?
Just paranoidamerican.com. I got a whole bunch of sticker sheets now that are up. I've got a Hunter Biden meth mouth sticker sheet. I've got a whole bunch. I don't even know if I've got any around me. Yeah, I actually got a bunch. So this one's a holographic Jim Jones Jonestown sticker sheet. This is a fun one. Man, I got so many. Oh, here, you'll guys appreciate this one. This is the Waco sticker sheet with a little Branch Davidian flag. It's got the little dead rabbit, right? Because they played the dead rabbit noises in the middle of the night.
And the glow in the dead FBI agent.
Yep, there's an ATF agent. There's a quarter stack because Koresh was jamming out too. Here's his Bible with the 7 seals that are opened. So yeah, there's the tank that totally accidentally, nobody expected that to set fire to the compound, even though it had happened previous times and they had warned them about it. So yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen David Koresh Branch Davidian ATF FBI sticker sheet before. If you have, please let me know. But otherwise,
I have not.
Yeah, Guinness Book is going to be here next week, and I'm going to be setting records across the board. I also believe I'm the Guinness Book first to do a Joe Biden meth mouth sticker sheet and a Hunter Biden, sorry, party pack. No one else, I think, has made these before. And this is number 33, so if you're like extra evil and naughty, you can get this hand numbered 33. There's even like a little dime bag in there with some residue. I don't even know what's in there. So yeah, that's what I got going on now.
I love it, dude. That's the fucking best. I didn't upload any of your fucking music yet, and I'm going to tonight, so we can fucking play some. Because Thomas has come up with some fucking awesome music that he's been making. So we'll talk about it later. I think we have an episode coming.
You can search for it on I think at this point iTunes and Spotify. Just look for Adrenochrome Queen. That'll be the gateway drug to all the rest of them that I'll be dropping. But by January, I should have 2 albums on iTunes and Spotify. One is called it's not Parmesan cheese, it's something else. But it's there's one called Clinton's Greatest Hits, 14 unique songs all about Clinton body count.
Is Hillary Clinton the Adrenochrome Queen?
She is. Hillary Clinton is the Adrenochrome Queen. I also have a song on the album called What Did You Cough Up? What Was in That Cup? That's the full name of the title. And the hook is, what did you cough up? What was in that cup? Was it phlegm or was it snot? What made your body rot? It's a great song. It's very catchy. All of them are catchy. And another one called Cult Classics. And it's got a song about Heaven's Gate, one about Jonestown, one about Nexium. All your favorite cults. I got songs about all of them.
Yeah, dude, they're fantastic. I've been bumping that one. I think is it the Jonestown one you sent me? It's fucking great, dude.
They're all bangers, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So hopefully by the next episode we'll have that fucking ready for you guys. And anyways, everybody, we love you. Check us out, realityzars@gmail.com. If you want to send us email, hate mail, love mail, all that. If you want to say that I'm a piece of shit, go for it. Send me an email. We love it. We love them, all of them anyways. You can send me dick pics, whatever you want. And then also, follow us on Rockfin and all the dumb places. I'll try to get better at posting on fucking Rumble, but they're not user friendly. It's annoying to fucking post on there, but
you gotta upload one at a time. It takes like 3 hours. It's a pain.
It sucks, dude. But I mean, you can listen to us on Spotify until they get rid of us. And we love you guys. And you guys are fucking awesome. Thank you, everybody in the chat that's been schizo posting with us. We appreciate you guys. All right. Cheers, everyone. Thank you, John. We appreciate you, man.
God bless. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, John.
So you've decided to listen to the Reality Czars podcast. How brave of you. Nate and Paranoid American may think that they're merely discussing cryptozoology, interdimensional realities, and crude humor. But know this, listening to this podcast puts you on a certain list, the Clinton body count, if you will. The truths they reveal are not for the faint of heart, nor the blissfully ignorant. Listen if you dare, but remember, some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. And now, your hosts, those audacious explorers of forbidden knowledge, the Reality Czars, Nate and Paranoid American.